He says he's recovering after several surgeries, alleging his client panicked but did not intend to run anyone over.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. He has pleaded not guilty. On Wall Street, stock futures are rising the day after selling in the NBA playoffs. A blowout in New York.
And a 39-point beatdown.
The Knicks beat the Philadelphia 76ers 137-98 in their opening game of round 2 on NBC. Minnesota beat San Antonio 104-102 to start that series. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 55 and with one of the big 3 carriers, like Verizon, you may notice they don't talk much about their 55-plus discounts. That's so customers like you keep paying their regular higher rates to boost their bottom line. You deserve better service, with 100% US-based experts, better value, with plans starting at $20, and a company that's built for people 50-plus, like me. Not convinced? Give your current carrier a call, ask about the 55-plus plan you've earned, see how long it takes to get a real person on the line, and if they try to talk you out of it. But if you want something better, call Consumer Cellular. We've got the same great coverage, and our US-based experts can get you switched in about 20 minutes. Switch now to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com for your second month free.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details. When you build a home for the next chapter of your life, you're not just choosing floor plans, finishes, and paint colors. You're making a decision about where your life continues after all the years you've worked so hard. At Steiner Homes, we understand that because we're a family business that's been building custom homes in Northwest Indiana for over 30 years. And for us, this isn't just a business, it's a calling. Every Steiner home is built with intention. No shortcuts, no compromises. Just craftsmanship you can see and quality you can feel. There's a reason more empty nesters are choosing Indiana. Lower taxes mean your money goes further. Safer communities mean real peace of mind. It's a place where neighbors still wave, families flourish, and you can finally put down roots that feel right. From the very first sketch to the final walkthrough, we treat every home like it's our own family moving in. If you're ready to build a home and right-size your life in a smarter, safer place, start with people who truly care. Steiner Homes of Northwest Indiana. Love where you live. Learn more at steinerhomesltd.com.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the Immune Enhancement Cocktail.
It's May 5th.
and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is Cinco de Mayo. The origins of the day go back to the Franco-Mexican War of the 1860s, as 2,000 Mexican soldiers held off 6,000 French soldiers in the Battle of the Puebla in 1861. In the U.S., Cinco de Mayo is celebrated as a day of Mexican-American heritage and pride. Also on this date in 1891, Carnegie Hall in New York City opened for the first time. Peter Tchaikovsky was the guest conductor. The soundtrack to West Side Story went to number 1 on the charts in 1962.
Skyscrapers bloom in America, Cadillacs zoom in America.
The iconic musical would stay at the top spot for 54 weeks. If it's your birthday today, you share it with actor Henry Cavill, born in 1983, and English singer Adele, born in 1988. I'm Tushar Saxena with your Fox Daily Snapshot.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business, and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago Immune Support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Parents, what your children are being taught matters more than ever. At Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, we've been equipping students with a solid, Christ-centered education for over 55 years. Our on-campus school and our homeschool program give families across the nation a proven alternative. Don't wait. Take action for your child's future today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or schedule a tour. ChristianLiberty.com.
Food, fuel, jobs. It all starts with homegrown Illinois corn. Driving a $148 billion economic impact, corn supports thousands of jobs and strengthens communities across our state. It's advancing cleaner burning biofuels, expanding plant-based manufacturing, and growing a renewable economy. Illinois corn isn't just an agricultural success, it's a strategic investment in energy, innovation, and economic growth. See what's possible at ilcorn.org.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Many predictions about the midterm elections in the United States are dire for the GOP. A wipeout in the House, perhaps even losing the Senate majority as well. The GOP could weather the electoral storm that almost always chastens the party of a president finishing his 6th year in office, but they got to do stuff. To do that weathering, every candidate in every partisan race has to make the case, which is easy to make. The Islamic Republic of Iran is an evil regime that cannot have nukes. Seems certain that President Trump is not going to go wobbly in the battle with Iran. Similarly, the GOP better not go wobbly either. Americans have lost the muscle memory of victory. It will quickly regain an appreciation for resolve once the conflict is over. GOP candidates must loudly and persuasively argue that the battle with Iran was long past due and is well worth winning. There is no winning for the GOP in November without demanding and defending victory in this battle with Iran. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a shower in spots early this morning. Then it will be mostly cloudy and cooler with a high of 60. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 43. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy and cool, reaching a high of 56. Thursday will be cool with times of clouds and sun with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, the end of last week, the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division announced it had launched investigations into 36 government school districts in Illinois, 36, to determine whether they have included sexual orientation and gender ideology content in any class for grades pre-K through 12. In addition to that, there's suggestions that there may be schools that are facilitating, if not outright directing, the transing of kids without parental knowledge would also be a violation of federal law, thus the investigations. Our friend Mike Tobin reporting from Chicago for Fox News.
As you mentioned, the DOJ has launched an investigation into some 36 schools in Illinois. The investigation is going to probe whether the schools are pushing woke agenda on the students, particularly if they're pushing sexual orientation and gender ideology. Now, the investigation will examine if parents have been notified about how sexual orientation and gender ideology is being presented to the students, whether parents are being kept in the dark about a child taking on another gender, and whether students are forced into locker rooms and bathrooms with a person born the opposite gender. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon tells Fox News parents have a right to know the curriculum being presented to their kids.
If the schools are mandating this and not allowing parents the opportunity to opt out of content that may be inappropriate for them based on religion or values, they would be afoul of that Supreme Court precedent. And so we have reason to believe that these school districts in Illinois are not obeying the law.
Now, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker dismissed the new investigation as a sham aimed at punishing states President Trump does not like. Democrat Illinois Senator Dick Durbin said if President Trump cared about students, he would reverse a decision to dismantle the Department of Education and stop attacking the rights of LGBTQ students. The ACLU says the Trump administration is wrongly interpreting federal law. Now, Assistant Attorney General Dillon says the state may be forcing this curriculum on the school, and therefore federal intervention will be needed to stop what she calls.
The point here is that the Supreme Court precedent recently reiterated is that parents have the fundamental right and primary authority to direct the care, upbringing, and education of their children. And the argument is this includes exempting their children from ideological instruction that contradicts their values or decisions about their children's health and best interests. So, of course, every kid in a government school in this state, and a lot of kids in private schools, but in the government schools, being directed, being indoctrinated, that's part of the curriculum because Illinois mandates comprehensive sex ed and LGBTQIA2S plus and plus education in the government schools from pre-K through 12. So that perfectly tracks with what the DOJ is investigating. So they're going to find it. The issue is whether or not the schools are providing a material opportunity for parents to opt out of said indoctrination. 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com answer line and text line. Give us a call or text at that number. Interesting, the 3 districts, because, I mean, of course, it's all, how many districts do we have? 800? Most in the country, I believe. A whole another topic of layers of government in this state. But 3 dozen, they're sort of, the 3 dozen that are being looked at, sort of interesting. It's pretty spread out across the state. You have Chicagoland school districts, including Elmwood Park, Community Unit School District 401, Crete-Monee, 201U, Country Club Hills. I saw Will County School District 92, Thornton Fractional. But there's a lot of exurban, Oak Lawn Hometown School District. There's a lot of exurban and even downstate districts as well, included in the 36. This comes as no surprise to, of course, anybody paying attention in Illinois because, I mean, it's just last year we were talking about the Nicole Georges case, the mom whose daughter at a Deerfield grade school, Shepherd Middle School in Deerfield, you remember, Deerfield School District 109. The teachers were compelling the girls to undress in their locker room in front of a boy who was pretending to be a girl. And so it's one of those things where you can, the state can set the curriculum for the schools, the school districts, which it has. But by the same token, you have to abide and respect that fundamental right the Supreme Court has enshrined that parents have to direct their child's upbringing, including with school. So you have to have a material way for them to opt out. You also have to have communication between administrators, teachers, and parents as to what is going on. You can't be running interference, knowingly running interference for the parents' wishes with respect to their children. Or if they inquire, as Nicole Georges did in the case of her daughter and her daughter's friends being subjected to this, then there's some duty to be forthcoming by schools, school district administrators and teachers. And this is what apparently the Department of Justice suspects is not happening at those 36 school districts. And I can guarantee you dozens and dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds more. It'd be very interesting. I mean, I'd be fascinated to learn how those particular districts were picked out, because it's just an odd group spread across a wide geography for it to be simply the result of whistleblowers. But I assume it could be one-offs. Once it becomes clear the attitude of the federal government with respect to what's going on in the schools and what's long been going on in the schools and what has been doubled and tripled down on in Illinois. And parents say, well, hey, the Trump administration is laying down the laws here, and they're setting the standard, and they're setting the proper standards, and they're talking about parents' rights. And so, I've been waiting for this administration so I could say something about what's happening in my school. And maybe it's just from the grassroots up, parents in districts across the state who are taking the opportunity to say, well, what I can't get from my school district administrators, from my teachers, from my school board members, because they're all, union toadies. They're all on board with this neo-Marxist inculcation at the pre-K through 12 level. Maybe I can get if I notify the Department of Justice that this is going on and have them intercede on my behalf. And remember, in the Deerfield case, that's basically what happened as well. Nicole Georges went through the locals, tried to get satisfaction from those parties that have authority, couldn't get any, and then so she filed suit. And as far as I know, that's still pending. So, again, I wouldn't count on the federal government to save Illinois from itself, to save these school districts from themselves. At some point, there's going to have to be a culture shift, an attitude adjustment at the local level within these institutions, and that's going to have to come from the local level, from those stakeholders in the particular school districts in question, which, frankly, again, are all of them as far as I can tell. But it's nice to have the Trump administration over the top for now, providing some hope for parents in forlorn situations in failed states like, Illinois. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You know the feeling. That rush when you reach that goal. Make somebody brag a little back home. That's success. And at University of Maryland Global Campus, we believe you should never stop chasing it. That's why UMGC offers an accredited skills-based education that helps move your career forward. We'll teach you how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science, plus build your skills in leadership, communication, and critical thinking. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. With affordable and online programs, you can unlock new opportunities to help you succeed again. At UMGC, success is yours for the taking and the making, and nothing should keep you from it, especially not an application fee. Apply now and we'll waive your application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Hey, business owners, is your business and money in good hands? Does your bank invest in your success? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that when you need a relationship bank, Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. I love these guys. Not only do they have expansive industry experience, a strong financial track record, but they're also highly capitalized for strategic growth. That's so important. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. They know what it means to grow a business by designing solutions that are right for you and only you. These are real people. They're ready to help. So reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Make the call today, 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Go online, signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from jeffbuysyourhouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At jeffbuysyourhouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
And just a reminder what the locals are up to, talking about the government schools and the 36 school districts under investigation by the DOJ for essentially for violating parents' rights when it comes to curriculum, sex education, leftist, gender ideological indoctrination. This was Becky Pringle. She's the other teachers union boss at a May Day rally last week. Becky Pringle. That woman who looks like a shrew, Randy Weingarten, is AFT. This is NEA, Becky Pringle. And Stacey Davis Gates is just a state and local level of a version of Becky Pringle. And so are most of these, and most of these superintendents and school boards are beholden to these people. And thus you are, because your school is.
We the people will be that light, finding a way toward liberation. We the people will be that light, demanding justice. We the people will stand in our power, we will shine our light, and we will find a way to win all.
Yeah, that's her tagline, if you didn't know. Win all the things. That's the mantra of the National Education Association. Win all the things. And they're not talking about high test scores and college preparedness. Win all the things, for the adults who the system is actually about. Coming up at 5:38, we'll continue on this topic because I want to update the story that we brought you a couple weeks ago about a Down syndrome child that was sexually exploited in Libertyville School District. And we have another incident purportedly in the Western Burbs of a child with Down syndrome who was violently attacked on a school bus. This hasn't really been reported yet, but we're looking for information. We'll discuss in detail. 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Good morning. 55 degrees.
On AM 560, The Answer, in the QC Kinetics newsroom, we see a shower in the forecast for the morning. Cloudy and cooler later today. Authorities in China say an explosion at a fireworks plant in the central Chinese province of Hunan has killed 26 and injured 61. Mail-order access to an abortion pill is being restored by the Supreme Court, but only for now. The High Court issued an emergency order Monday to give justices more time to consider the issue. Voters in Indiana and Ohio head to the polls for several primary races. In the Buckeye State, Republicans will decide their candidate for the next governor. To replace Mike DeWine, Vivek Ramaswamy is a strong frontrunner. More than 100 employees at the Brookfield Zoo are on strike.
We needed to do this when the zoo said that we will no longer carry the Teamster health care. And they couldn't come up with a plan for any other type of health care.
Staff like Carrie Zapenza from the grounds custodial and facility team hit the picket lines yesterday. A seventh person is charged in a violent home invasion in Winnetka from March. Tyrese Watson faces robbery and kidnapping charges. 6 others were previously arrested and charged in the March 8 incident. The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear a challenge to the City of Chicago lawsuit against a Gary, Indiana gun shop. The city accused the gun shop of illegally selling guns to buyers and supplying a significant number of firearms used in crimes in the city. Cubs walk off the Reds 5-4, while the White Sox blank the L.A. Angels 6-0. A check of the roads coming your way in 2 minutes on AM 560.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Donnelly Auctions.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are 3 companies quietly building a $1 trillion triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These 3 companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on 3 companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to TrillionDollarTriangle.com to find out which 3 companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. TrillionDollarTriangle.com. That's TrillionDollarTriangle.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 55 and with one of the big 3 carriers, like Verizon, you may notice they don't talk much about their 55-plus discounts. That's so customers like you keep paying their regular higher rates to boost their bottom line. You deserve better service, with 100% U.S.-based experts, better value, with plans starting at $20, and a company that's built for people 50-plus, like me. Not convinced? Give your current carrier a call, ask about the 55-plus plan you've earned, see how long it takes to get a real person on the line, and if they try to talk you out of it. But if you want something better, call Consumer Cellular. We've got the same great coverage, and our U.S.-based experts can get you switched in about 20 minutes. Switch now to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com for your second month free.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
The Danielle Gill Podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
Actually lowering prices has rarely ever been an accomplishment a Democrat could even claim. The Democrat modus operandi is to use each crisis as an excuse to pass legislation which increases spending, gives more power to the government, and which will make new crises which they can't then use as an excuse to pass more horrible legislation.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have a lot of questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? I'm Edward Jones financial advisor, Nolan Webster. Let's work together to make sure your finances meet your unique needs over the long haul. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Call me at 224-801-6107 to schedule an appointment. That's 224-801-6107. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There's a new kind of energy at Starbucks. Try the all-new Energy Refreshers. Strawberry Acai, Mango Dragon Fruit, or the all-new Mango Strawberry. New Energy Refreshers, only at Starbucks.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a chance of showers in some areas during the early morning hours, followed by mostly cloudy skies and cooler temperatures. The high will reach 60 degrees. Tonight will bring partly cloudy conditions with a low of 43. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy and cool with a high of 56. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A couple weeks ago, I brought you this story because Dan Vosnos brought it to me. Dan Vosnos is a friend I know from the school choice movement. He's also served as an athletic director in at the K through 12 level, so he knows about this. And he's got a child with Down syndrome, so he's also a very passionate advocate for children with disabilities. The story was out of Libertyville High School, District 128. So Libertyville High School. And it's a disturbing one. I mean, it's one of those, right, these things really happen. There are really people out there who prey on children with disabilities. Yeah, there are. 15-year-old student with Down syndrome was allegedly groomed and sexually abused by a special education teacher at Libertyville High School. This came to more public light because mom filed a lawsuit against the school district, alleging the former teacher, Parker Road, conditioned grades on physical affection and quote-unquote I love yous from a student with intellectual disabilities. This started in the fall of 2024. And when you start digging into it, as Vosnos did, the situation gets worse because rather than the school abiding its reporting responsibilities, it tried to make the matter an internal one and hide it from prying eyes, including mom's prying eyes. They knew also that this guy had previous behavioral issues, apparently, prior stalking allegations in 2022. Administrators reportedly told the family to let the district, quote, handle it internally, unquote, instead of contacting DCFS or law enforcement. When this came to light a couple of weeks ago, parents, including Vosnos, demanded the resignation of the superintendent, principals, assistant principals, basically anybody who had any prior knowledge should resign or be fired. And by the way, Vosnos was also an advocate for legislation to protect students exactly like this young woman in Libertyville that stalled in the Senate last year. So there was a school board meeting last week when I was off, so we didn't get to it. Dan Vosnos showed up for his 3 minutes at the dais, and this is what he had to say about the situation in Libertyville, because there's been some developments there.
I have a 7-year-old son named Ellis. who has Down syndrome. He is the reason why I left education for the National Down Syndrome Society, and I cannot stay silent about what has happened in this district. A 15-year-old girl with Down syndrome, a student with limited capacity to self-advocate, to understand boundaries, to report what was being done to her, was allegedly subjected to calculated campaign of grooming and abuse by a teacher in this district. This is documented in a lawsuit that was covered by CBS. You guys know what happened here. I don't need to recap anything. Voicemails surfaced in late 2024, extra credit, unconditional affection, you name it. It's sick. And as a father, it breaks my heart. This is not a gray area. This is a documented failure to follow the law. I've obtained internal emails. I've combed through them, including one in which Brian Kelly is copied on, that this district moved to offer this teacher an early retirement buyout rather than report him, managing him out quietly. Let me be direct. Under Illinois law, mandated reporters who willfully fail to report suspected abuse are guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. And if this person acted to prevent discovery of abuse, to shield any person or entity from accountability, that's a Class 4 felony. These are not hypothetical penalties, guys. These are laws in the state of Illinois, laws that I've worked to strengthen. I've worked alongside Representative Mussman on House Bill 4241 a few years ago, legislation that were to protect individuals with disabilities from this exact kind of predatory conduct. It passed the House here in Illinois unanimously. For some reason, it failed to get out of the Senate. I've thought about that failure many times since this case came to my attention. Representative Mussman has since confirmed in writing that this district did not follow state law and that ISBE has an open investigation. Last week, I met with my local senator to discuss next steps, including coming up with legislation, including mandatory background checks. The question before you tonight is not whether this happened. The question is what will this board do about it? Because Brian Kelly has not been held accountable. The silence of this institution is being watched by legislators, advocates, and my community, and every family in this district. My son Ellis cannot advocate for himself the way other students and children can. Neither could this student at the center of this lawsuit. That is exactly why laws exist, and that is exactly why this board must act. Thank you.
So Brian Kelly, who is the associate superintendent, was placed on leave. He was the person that you heard Dan Vosnos mention. Other parents who spoke at that board meeting also mentioned him. He had some prior professional relationship, I think coaching, athletic director coaching relationship with Parker Road, the teacher in question. And so right now he may be the fall guy. Dan Vosnos, I should hasten to add, since he was citing statutory law in Illinois, is, I guess, in communication with Ed Einhart, the Lake County State's attorney and Safety Act enthusiast, to see about charges against those people who failed to abide their legal responsibilities, as Vosnos outlined in his remarks. Good. Maybe that will get people's attention. If you see an educrat or a teacher with cuffs on facing real criminal charges for allowing for the exploitation of children, particularly, as he said, Vosnos said, children who don't have the same ability to advocate for themselves as other children. And I mean, just to give you a sense of this again, these voicemails that were unearthed, what this teacher said to this, she's a 15-year-old girl, period, much less a 15-year-old girl with Down syndrome. For example, quoting from the voicemail, I want you to make sure that student gets a 50 out of 50 out of 0 points, right? 50 extra credit points because I started a new policy this year. The first student that comes up voluntarily on their own and gives me a hug and tells me they love me, the first student to do that gets 50x credit points. This is the teacher, Parker Road, leaving a message for a colleague in terms of how he is running his classroom an unintentional admission. And so that's what was going on in his classroom. And he's so apparently oblivious to the predatory nature of what he's doing that he was willing to share what he was doing with a colleague. And I think that's in part where this all started to unravel. 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com call-in and text line if you want to opine on this. Particularly, again, I know we try to share these stories too. We've seen stories about where kids rally around a kid that has special needs, that they're the team mascot, or they're on the basketball team and they finally get in the game and they hit a shot and everybody celebrates as a community and people looking out for each other. Answering the question I asked 2 weeks ago when we first tackled this topic, where are the sheepdogs these days? And I guess it falls to the students, since we don't have a lot of adults in these systems that seem to want to act, even after the fact. Although, again, Vosnos and other parents did come forward. This is the only reason we're talking about it, is because they were paying attention and they did hop to it as soon as what was going on became, that they gained knowledge of what was going on, and they acted. And this is why you're starting to see some results, however slowly, however incompletely at this juncture. We got another one. This, and so any more color on Libertyville, please do share. And any color on this, please do share as well. This was from a community alert that was issued by Gigi's Playhouse. A member of our Gigi's Family Playhouse, a 12-year-old boy with Down syndrome, was injured during an assault by another student on a school bus in the Chicagoland suburbs. This happened in St. Charles. 12-year-old boy. District D303. District 303. So anybody who knows about this incident in St. Charles, because it really has been reported on. And I am getting the sense that St. Charles District 303 is doing the same thing as Libertyville District 128, which is making it a quote-unquote internal matter when it's not. You don't get to make crimes internal matters. It's remarkable that all these highly paid superintendents and assistant superintendents and assistant to the assistant superintendents don't know this. A member of our Gigi's Playhouse family, a 12-year-old boy with Down syndrome, was injured during an assault by another student on a school bus in the Chicagoland suburbs. On his way home from school, he was stabbed 13 times with a pencil, resulting in visible scratches and puncture holes in his jacket, while other children cried out for help. What's even more concerning is that the adults on the bus did not intervene or stop the assault. The child asked to be taken to the doctor and repeatedly asked school employees to call his mom, but they didn't call. Instead, they dropped him off at home without any information about what had happened. And now the school is minimizing the attack as a school incident, quote unquote. But let us be clear, this is not an incident, it's an assault. We are calling on school leadership to formally recognize the severity of this assault, conduct a full and transparent investigation, take decisive and appropriate action to ensure accountability, ensure proper supervision and support in all school transportation, implement immediate safeguards to protect vulnerable students. So, 12-year-old boy stabbed 13 times with a pencil. It's very specific. It must have eyewitness accounts. And this happened almost a month ago, I'm led to believe. And we have no information about it. There's been no reporting on it. So what's going on in District 303 in St. Charles? Somebody has to know. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, text and call in line. Chris, Dan Ryan.
Hey, Dan, that's absolutely horrific. I don't even know what to say at 5:52 in the morning to that. But I would like to say one thing that kind of strengthens the whole argument against this teachers union is that this teachers union in Illinois is the only teachers union in our surrounding states that's allowed to strike during the school year to have their contracts ratified faster. Just a heads up, let you know that.
Thanks for the call, Chris. I mean, in the surrounding states, yeah. Just to understand, teachers' unions that enjoy the right to strike, that is allowed in a minority of states. I think it's 37 or 38 states that prohibit teachers from striking, just as we do police and fire, as you know, that's written into their collective bargaining agreements for obvious reasons. But in states that are completely owned and operated by the teachers' unions and their government sector union goon allies like SEIU and AFSCME, well, it's different and worse. And so, of course, Illinois qualifies. Ron in Sycamore.
Hi, Dan. I attended CPS board meetings, Rockford board meetings, Elgin U46, DeKalb. You cannot tell that a Republican president is the head of the Department of Education in this country. They are all the same.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Candace in Mount Pleasant.
Good morning. I think that these kids probably had cell phones, smartphones, that make you stupid. And they notice nothing now. They hardly look up. They certainly don't look up when they're at dinner with their parents. All four of them are on them. Boy, we're really doing great as a culture.
Thanks for the call, Candace. Although, again, I mean, according to the alert, which has to have some basis in a first-person account, I'm assuming, the children cried out for help for this kid, and the adults were the ones that were on their phones or doing something they shouldn't have been doing or not doing something they should have been doing. Jim LaGrange.
Hey, Dan, I'm 99% sure that there's video and audio evidence of that St. Charles assault that happened on a school bus. So that's why they're probably so specific about, hey, he got stabbed 13 times. They could just count it by looking at the video. So this is like, open and shut at the same time. So thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, right. Probably so. By the way, the teacher in Libertyville, I guess I'm mispronouncing his name, Parker. It's Parker Rodee is the pronunciation from text from 312 that seems to know Parker Rodee, but anybody in Libertyville in that school district certainly knows who I'm talking about. So this shouldn't be a mystery. And anybody in District 303, District 303 is more expansive than just St. Charles, so I'm sort of the center of it, so that's what I'm saying, but it's District 303. I have the name of the elementary school, I believe, but I'm waiting for confirmation on that. And I think that the elementary school is actually in South Elgin. So waiting for confirmation on that. But again, to Jim's point, if there's video circulating, if there's people talking about this, after Gigi's Playhouse put out this alert, I mean, come on. People know. So step forward. David in Winnetka.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I think the gentleman that you had the snippet of audio, I thought I heard him say mandatory. He's pushing for mandatory background checks. How is that not put in place yet? It seems that in today's craziness with everything and children being attacked too, you now have the service, I believe, that you can push a button like Uber, you order a car, but you push a button and you order a babysitter. An actual stranger shows up and watches your kid. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't looked into it, but it's insane. It's just that notion in itself. I don't understand.
Thanks for the call, David. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, wouldn't the bus driver be obligated to make a police report if someone is stabbed on his bus?
Well, one would think, thanks for the call, George, but maybe he goes to the school and says, this is what happened, and they say, we're going to handle this as an internal incident, so just wait for instruction. I mean, if I'm the bus driver, I still go to the police because I witnessed an assault. Ostensibly, I witnessed it. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was driving. But I'd go and say, I think this is what happened, and this needs to be investigated if the administrators were trying to make me part of a conspiracy of silence. Yeah. Like I said, sheepdogs. kids screaming for help. Seemed like there's some sheepdogs among them, that they were looking out for their friend and classmate. That's nice. It's the adults who suck. Mike in Union.
Hey, Dan, this is the same education system where our state tried to pass a law that private, parochial, and homeschools would have to report to the public school education. What could go wrong? Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Mike. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 6:06. Oh, goody. More has come out about Eric Swalwell and his online escapades. And another former colleague of his in the California caucus is in trouble for some of the same reasons. A treatise on the left at 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock at AM 560.
Don't be dragged back into a quagmire. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's Iran's warning to the U.S. today after firing at ships in the Strait of Hormuz at the start of a U.S. operation aiming to escort vessels stranded in this conflict.
We do know early on Monday, 2 vessels were successfully escorted through the strait, but since then, Iran has ramped up attacks on the UAE, a U.S. ally in the Gulf. 15 missiles and 4 drones targeted the country with damage caused to a key oil facility. The bottom line here, the Iranians are testing this fragile ceasefire.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
I spoke yesterday with President Trump, who told me that if Iran attacks U.S. vessels in this area, they will be, quote, blown off the face of the earth.
The U.S. has sunk 6 small Iranian boats that have been targeting ships. We'll get an update on this next hour from War Secretary Pete Hegseth. U.S. military also blew up another suspected drug trafficking boat in the Caribbean yesterday, killing 2 more alleged narco-terrorists. Cole Allen remains jailed the day after a judge apologized to the suspect in the White House Correspondents' Dinner attack, who's charged with attempting to assassinate the president.
Magistrate Judge Zia Faruqi criticized his treatment, saying that despite the charges, the court and the jail are supposed to presume the man's innocence. Well, the 31-year-old was placed on suicide watch when he was first imprisoned. That requires placement in a padded cell without access to phones, recreational time, books, or religious materials.
Fox's Alex Hogan. The rest of the polls are opening now in Indiana after voting started an hour ago in other parts of the state, where Trump controversies on today's primary ballots.
After some Republican state senators voted last year with Democrats to block President Trump's redistricting efforts, 7 of them now have President Trump-backed primary challengers in districts the president carried in 2024 by double digits, including in Indiana District 21, where Republican Tracy Powell is running to replace State Senator Jim Buck, who has the backing of the president's former vice president, Mike Pence.
That's Fox's Jeff Manasso. America's listening to Fox News.
51 degrees in Chicago. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A shower this morning possible. Cloudy and cooler later today. More than 100 employees of the Brookfield Zoo have walked off the job.
We needed to do this when the zoo said that we will no longer carry the Teamster healthcare. And they couldn't come up with a plan for any other type of healthcare.
Staff like Carrie Zapenza from grounds and facilities hit the picket lines yesterday. A Walgreens store in Chicago's South Side is closing. Alderman William Hall and community members highly critical of Walgreens for that decision.
And in my opinion, it should be considered a first-degree corporate crime. Because the amount of people that will be hurt by this, the amount of elders that will not have access to health care is evil.
The pharmacy store chain says the store near 86th and Cottage Grove is shutting down due to violent safety issues. Federal officers found over 22 firearms and 40 kilos of drugs inside a Chicago man's storage unit. According to the U.S. Attorney Mario Neustadter of Chicago, unknowingly sold fentanyl and methamphetamine to an undercover officer 3 times in the winter of 2026. According to the criminal complaint, Neustadter was arrested on April 7. Cubs over the Reds. White Sox beat the Angels. The News Service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. SurroundChicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather coming your way next on AM 560.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. This year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company. WIND, Chicago.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Sleep and relaxation just got smarter. The Zecliner by FlexSteel combines comfort with durable design, featuring custom adjustments like headrest, lumbar, heat, and massage, helping you unwind the right way. Whether you're watching TV or taking a well-earned break, Zecliner is built for you. Comfort, customization, and FlexSteel quality all in one chair. Experience the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5407 to schedule a free consultation.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
6:06 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Kennedy, an entrance ramp closed, all due to construction. This is outbound on the on-ramp from Foster this morning. Stop and go on the Stevenson between Ashland and the Dan Ryan. You're also jammed up with slow traffic on the ramp to the inbound Dan Ryan this morning. Traffic is a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And now a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a chance of showers in some areas during the early morning hours, followed by mostly cloudy skies and cooler temperatures. The high will reach 60 degrees. Tonight will bring partly cloudy conditions with a low of 43. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy and cool with a high of 56. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, the left, when they're not engaged in violence, they're doing violence to themselves. You remember Eric Swalwell? He used to be a congressman from California. He ran for president once upon a time. A leading contender for governor. And then his behavior caught up with him. Well, there's more to his behavior that's catching up with him, to no one's surprise. I wonder if he and his bestie, Ruben Gallego, still have time to frolic on the beach bare-chested on camels like friends do. Yeah, Gallego, the Arizona senator, Swalwell's bestie, I still don't think he's exactly out of the woods, but we'll see. Report over the weekend, less than a month after Swalwell resigned from Congress after being accused of rape, among other things. He's been accused of multiple women of sending sexual messages, including videos of him filibustering himself, if you will. After becoming one of the first members of Congress to join Snapchat, because he was going to use Snapchat to help restore faith and democracy. That was his portal to restoring faith and democracy, Snapchat. And about 5 minutes after he was on it, apparently his pants were down and he was sending random women pictures of little Eric. Several women telling CNN the former congresswoman had sent them sexually explicit messages on Snapchat. This is what he said, by the way, quoting him in 2016. "We can restore a lot of faith in that people have in their democracy by opening it up a little bit more. Snapchat's a great way to do that." Yeah. Always fighting for democracy. One stroke at a time. One young woman claimed Swalwell would send her Snapchat messages about her future before asking inappropriate questions such as, "What are you wearing?" I mean, I only ask in the sense that it could impact your future. "What are you wearing?" Two other women told CNN Swalwell sent them sexually explicit messages and unsolicited nude photos and videos of himself. Well, the third woman also claimed to have received sexually tinged messages and videos. Unsolicited nudes. So this is, what was it? Carlos Danger, a.k.a. Tony Weiner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One former congressional staffer developed a consensual relationship with Swalwell after he began flirting with her on Snapchat in 2021. During the relationship, Swalwell reportedly sent, quote, nude photos of himself and videos of him filibustering, which showed the congressman's face and naked body. Please, I know it's a little early to be sending out those word pictures. I apologize. His stories would be like congressional content, but then he would be sending me penis pics. Now, wait, I mean, just to rally to Swalwell's defense for a minute here, not that is a terribly uncomfortable position. I mean, isn't that revenge porn? If she had a consensual relationship with him and she's now disclosing pictures that were sent in the context of a consensual relationship, I mean, I don't know about that. Another woman who was 19 years old working at as a restaurant hostess at the time claims Swalwell managed to track her down on LinkedIn, where he sent her flirty messages, offered to write her a letter of recommendation, told her name was beautiful after speaking with her for less than 15 minutes while dining at the restaurant. I remember being surprised getting a message from him since I didn't give him any information other than probably my first name. and that he was literally over double my age. Well, I mean, I think the problem here is the more serious allegations. The rape allegation, number one. The other problem, of course, is that he's married with children, number two. And this just provides additional content and context to say all of those people, starting with his bestie, Ruben Gallego, who are expressing shock at these revelations, are lying. And so there's something to that as well. I mean, I don't want to do this just to appeal to prurien's interest, but since he was such a colossal douchebag, it's hard for me not to want to tell all the sordid details to humiliate him as much as he so richly deserves to be humiliated. So I hope you'll indulge me for just a moment. He's hardly the only one. And I quite understand this crosses the aisles. This is a bipartisan issue. But just sticking in California for a second, a former colleague of his, Jim Costa, was investigated for alleged advances towards D.C. interns. Now, he's in his 70s. And the allegation was inappropriate advances to two congressional interns. This was a couple of years ago. And this speaks to the issue that we talked about when the Swalwell story really broke, which is these House ethics investigations. They're never made public. There's essentially non-disclosed payouts to people who've made allegations against members of Congress. And that all should come out in the light of day, regardless of party. One woman, she was 22-year-old intern, Costa was 67. She recalled an awkward moment at an event hosted by California State Society where he asked her to dance, but she declined. They ended up dancing as she was trying to leave the event. He told her he wanted to help her career, gave her his personal phone number, said they should meet for dinner. A man who saw the incident warned her to be careful of how she handled Costa's phone number. A witness later told the investigators he remembered warning her. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that just happens in cesspools like D.C. or Springfield. But I think the issue is, as I said before, the adjudication and disclosure needs to be made public. And also, look, people in powerful position can be unfairly targeted. So there does need to be investigation, and there does need to be corroboration, and whatever settlement or punishment needs to be proportional. And sometimes it boomerangs back on the accuser. We've seen that happen too. So I want to restrain myself, not in the case of Swalwell because that's just too obvious, but in some of these other cases. I mean, we had this high-profile case at Morgan Stanley that the New York Post has been reporting on for the last week or so, where this dude made all sorts of wild allegations against a colleague that she demanded he be her sex slave, things to this effect. Otherwise, he was going to, file complaints against her and so on and so forth. And the whole thing is fabricated. And as you started digging, this guy also had fabricated his dad's death for the purpose of getting like 3 months of family leave and so forth. So no need to get into the sort of details of that, but it was just one of those where the allegations are so salacious. Oh my gosh. And this is like what was it? Demi Moore, Michael Douglas, the disclosure, the reversal of the sexual harassment that never happens, but it's happening. And this is wild. And so you get caught up in all of the tawdry details and then a little bit of scratching below the surface, no pun intended. And you find that the whole thing was fictional and this guy is some kind of lunatic. So I'm just saying, a little bit of restraint. But as I said, more importantly, when they are not filibustering themselves as Swalwell, engaged in lewd sex acts. Wiener, Spitzer, could go on. They are doing much worse, frankly. Maybe it's better they pleasure themselves on Snapchat rather than indulge their other base appetites. Since L.A. is in the news with Spencer Pratt's push as a candidate for mayor. This, again, going back to the New York Post. The Palisades arsonist became fixated with Luigi Mangione and said he started the fire out of resentment for the rich. This, according to prosecutors. He was obsessed with the accused healthcare CEO killer, had routinely searched free Luigi Mangione and, quote, let's take down all billionaires online, according to court documents. In the weeks and hours before allegedly sparking the blaze that triggered the catastrophic Palisades fire, this guy who worked as an Uber driver ranted to customers about Mangione's arrest, too. Many of the defendant's Uber passengers during the week before described defendant as angry and tense, driving erratically, and ranting about being pissed off at the world and Luigi Mangione, and capitalism and vigilantism, according to a memorandum filed by prosecutors. When asked why someone would ultimately set the blaze, the man who did, allegedly, responded it, quote, would be out of resentment of the rich enjoying their money as we're basically enslaved by them, and compared such an act of desperation to the murder for which Mangione was charged, according to, again, prosecutor's memo. All hopped up on that class envy rhetoric that the left traffics in, and the celebration of murderers as martyrs in the war against capitalism, as Mangione has been treated by so many. The rationalizations. And here's a regular guy. It's a regular guy. A game developer who knows what it's like to struggle and just wants to play nice with everybody and see everybody have enough to get by. So animated by the affordability crisis that Mr. Chandler was going to run for United States Senate against John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, so he said.
I do this for you and for every single family in Pennsylvania who is struggling, who has been left behind. I am coming back for you. I do this for you. My name is Raymond. I am a Quaker, a Christian, a Buddhist, and a follower of the Way of Hermes, and I come as a sword. Follow me. Let's go take back what is ours. Thank you. God bless. To good spirit and good fortune. Take care.
You take care. Seems like a nice enough guy, doesn't he? Well, Randall Chandler, who's a Christian and a Quaker and a Buddhist, he's covering a lot of ground. He's been arrested. Yeah, Raymond Chandler has been arrested. He left the following voicemails. Sir, I'm calling you this morning because I want you to imagine a scenario. I want you to imagine a scenario where all the 1,200 billionaires in this country, all their properties are surrounded simultaneously by 1,000 people. So imagine your house, your daughter's house, everyone you know and love who is also rich. Imagine every single one of those homes being surrounded by 1,000 people. Then imagine them all getting a text and then suddenly taking out their pocket knives, walking slowly towards your house with 10. You got your 10 guards or whatever against 1,000 people. And then they come and they pull you out of your house and they slit your throat and they slit your daughter's throat and they slit everyone's throat. That, you know, sir, that is the future. That was a message he sent to a member of Congress. 1 week later, he sent the following voicemail. You're probably getting quite used to my voice, sir. I'm calling this evening because I want you because what I want you to do is I want you to take a firearm. I want you to put it in your hand. I want you to walk into the Oval Office. I want you to put that firearm to the president's head, and I want you to pull the trigger, and I want you to kill him. I'm petitioning you, Senator, for redress of grievances. My redress of grievances is that this president is awful. He's a liar among liars. He's a great deceiver. He's the Antichrist. I want you to walk into the Oval Office with your gun in your hand, with a gun in your hand. I want you to put it to his temple, and I want you to pull the trigger. That's what I want you to do as my agent. That is what I want you to do as my elected official. That is what I'm petitioning you to do with my free speech. I want you to kill the president. I want you to assassinate the president. That's what I want you to do. Now, Senator, are you going to come after me? Are you going to try me because of my voice and what I said? So he's been arrested for making murderous threats against John Fetterman and his family, as well as President Trump. The left. Woman charged with terrorism for allegedly setting fire to Texas GOP office. New Braunfels, Texas, woman arrested, setting fire for the Republican Party's to the county Republican Party's headquarters, charged with terrorism. Suspicion of arson and burglary after employees at the Como County Republican Party headquarters discovered their building had been broken into and a small fire had been set. A county grand jury added the terrorism charge last month. The Texas Republican Party chairman told Daily Caller, sadly, this incident is not isolated. Similar acts of vandalism and intimidation against political organizations have occurred in other parts of the country, underscoring a growing and unacceptable trend. Yeah, right. We saw that prior to the primary election here in March. Wheeling Township Republican Party's offices vandalized by a couple of boomers with no impulse control and no sense and no decency. Yeah. That's the neo-Marxist party today. No impulse control, no restraint. Squirming bags of appetites that must be fed. And they seem to really feast on acts of violence against their political enemies, real or perceived. Oh, and of course, you need a release. Lewd sex acts on Snapchat and so forth. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Give me an extra large deep dish with sausage and green peppers.
Sir, this is Hasselus Mattress.
Throw in some breadsticks, too.
We don't have breadsticks.
Oh, well, give me some of them mozzarella sticks then.
We don't sell pizza. We sell mattresses from Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more for way less.
I think I've got a coupon somewhere.
You won't need a coupon for these everyday deals. Others sell a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Elm Cove A mattress for $1,459, but Hasselus has it for just $794.
Running any specials?
Yes. Through Monday, get an additional $248 off your new Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic mattress just for shopping local.
Do you deliver?
Free next day delivery and haul away of your old mattress.
Great. Step on it, will you? I'm really hungry.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. I want you to try something different. You don't have to live in pain every day. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics and tell them I sent you when you do. They offer all-natural regenerative treatments for joint pain. I've seen the results and personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. Stop saying to yourself, this is just how I am now. That's not okay. Get back to the normal you, the one who is active and carefree. QC Kinetics is helping AM 560 listeners with pain from arthritis or injury in their knees, hips, and shoulders. Now they're moving again, golfing and running without surgery or long recovery. The science is real. The treatments are natural. Your body knows how to heal. QC Kinetics will show you how without surgery. Don't watch summer pass you by again, stuck on your couch, afraid to move. Take action today. Schedule an appointment right now. Consultations are free. Call 312-827-6261. That number again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hey, Indiana, you've heard all the ads. The Washington, D.C. lobbyists are doing what they do best, funneling millions to prop up their new crony, Trevor DeVries. Why pay that kind of money for an Indiana Senate seat? One reason, because DeVries will play their game and repeat their lies. It's all part of DC's plan to buy control of Hoosier voters. With lies from Indy and ads made in Washington, they're smearing Dan Durnell. Don't believe them. The truth is this. Dan Durnell voted to ban Chinese ownership of Indiana farmland, to close all loopholes. His America First record is second to none. Durnell is a working-class guy from Northwest Indiana. He hates communists and wants to beat liberals. And he doesn't give a rip about Washington's agenda. Pro-life, pro-Trump, for lower property taxes. On May 5th, don't be fooled by the lies from the outside. Vote conservative Dan Durnell for state senate. Paid for by the committee to elect Dan Durnell.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just a postscript on the discussion we were having about the left and why I brought up, for example, that guy Chandler out of Pennsylvania, the game developer. It seemed like a nice enough guy, and he just wants to help those struggling to get by to do so. And then he leaves those horrible messages for Fetterman and gives himself over to the promotion of political assassinations. How does that happen? I mean, this is not exactly groundbreaking. I mean, it's very much like Hannah Arendt's banality of evil analysis. But there's a new National Bureau of Economic Research working paper by a bunch of eggheads. We digitized and analyzed the near universe of National Socialist German Workers' Party membership records and linked them to the population and industrial censuses. 4 findings emerge. As the party expanded, its membership came to resemble the broader population more closely in occupational, demographic, and religious terms. Second, SS members' characteristics remained indifferent, younger, more educated, and more fanatical, as measured by the display of Nazi insignia in membership portraits. But enough about Graham Plantner. Third, within communities, coworkers, and families, early membership generated hysteresis with subsequent entrants drawn from the same groups. Finally, local increases in party membership are associated with subsequent deportations of Germany's Jews. In other words, the fringe became something approximating the mainstream, or at least a certain demographically representative element within the so-called mainstream. If you looked at those individuals not by their beliefs, but by their age, ethnic background, faith, tradition, profession. The banality of evil. That's how a game developer, sort of a hermetic, seemingly, game developer comes to be under arrest for making the sort of threats of violence against a sitting senator and president of the United States, that would get you arrested. It's very disturbing stuff. Very disturbing, this strain in our culture that is being fomented and platformed by the neo-Marxist party. Coming up at 6:36, we'll pick this up and other topics with Leah Leibowitz from Tablet. It's now time to check the headlines with Mike.
Good morning. 50 degrees, cloudy skies, and some rain showers crossing the area. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. President Trump says the U.S. has taken out 7 small Iranian ships. Earlier today, U.S. Central Command leader Admiral Brad Cooper saying the military destroyed several vessels that tried to fire on U.S. warships in the Strait of Hormuz. The Secret Service saying one of its agents shot a suspect who reportedly opened fire near the White House. Fox's Kevin Cork is there.
Plainclothes Secret Service agents actually spotted this guy around 3:30 near the Washington Monument, just south of the White House complex. He appeared to have the imprint of a weapon on him. So when officers approached the guy, he took off and then he started firing on them. They, of course, returned fire. The suspect was hit, but then again, so was a child near the scene. Both the child and the gunman remain hospitalized. They are recovering. It's believed, by the way, that the bullet that hit the juvenile came from the alleged gunman.
The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear a challenge to the city of Chicago's lawsuit against a Gary, Indiana gun shop. The city accused the gun shop of illegally selling guns to buyers and supplying a significant number of firearms used in crimes in the city. Cubs walk off the Reds 5-4, while the White Sox blank the Angels 6-0. The news, a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair license contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online. Schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlow, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Donley Auctions.
You know I don't push products I don't believe in, so listen up because this one I love and recommend to friends and listeners. It's Virago Liquid Immune Support. Now, I spoke with Dr. Hubert, the creator of Virago, and let me tell you, this man knows immune health like nobody's business. He explained to me the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights back against viruses, disease, inflammation, all of it. That's why he created Virago. It's a liquid immune boosting supplement packed with 23 powerful nutraceuticals working together in synergy. It's antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver. And because it's liquid, your body absorbs it quickly. I mix Virago in my smoothies. I feel the difference, and you will too. So order your bottle of Virago today at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlow's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
There's a new kind of energy at Starbucks. Try the all-new Energy Refreshers, Strawberry Acai, Mango Dragon Fruit, or the all-new Mango Strawberry. New Energy Refreshers, only at Starbucks.
6:30-17 Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Mattress Firm, ready to upgrade to the perfect sleep setup. Let Mattress Firm's sleep experts guide you to the perfect bed at the Memorial Day sale. Score unbeatable deals on top brands and ideal comfort at Mattress Firm. They make sleep easy. Jane Addams, earlier accident, gumming up the works eastbound, Route 23 to Getty Road. And a problem on the Ohio feeder this morning. You're jammed up Ohio to Orleans due to the traffic signals flashing red. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. A check of your weather in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. A shower in spots early this morning, cloudy and cooler throughout the day, and a high of 61.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So we talked about it a bit yesterday. Spencer Pratt, the reality star turned mayoral candidate in LA, who is well-positioned, at least right now, to make the runoff against Karen Basura Bass, the incumbent, presided over the Pacific Palisades catastrophic fire in the Pacific Palisades, as well as other catastrophes. His ad, one of his ads that went viral last week, where he's just, walking along and basically saying which is a theme that's part of the reason his candidacy has resonance, that politicians don't have to live with the consequences of their policy decisions, but we do. And he knows firsthand because his home was burned down in the Pacific Palisades fire, as was his parents' home. And he's none too happy about it. Karen Bass suggested that what Spencer Pratt was doing was exploiting the tragedy of others, and that just has no place in our politics.
But I feel like he's exploiting the grief of people in the Palisades, and I think that's right. Reprehensible. That's the main thing, and I think he is about his own celebrity. He's famous now again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we have to get used to the new reality of life in LA because climate change. Yes, she is still clinging to climate change.
We experienced in our city, at the root of it, we have to get adjusted to, just like everybody else in the nation, to different weather experiences that we're not used to because of climate change.
Exactly. It's not her fault. What happened was not her fault. I mean, obviously it wasn't entirely her fault because it was the proximate cause was an arsonist. But the response is where responsibility enters the equation, doesn't it? Well, Spencer Pratt was on with Will Kane responding to Karen Bass's assertion that he's just trying to capitalize on other people's misfortune.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Karen Bass forgot that she let my house burn down and my parents' house burn down. And I had actual neighbors burn alive across the street from my childhood home. The only grief is my grief, my community's grief, that I initially started this fight on behalf of. And she forgets I have received 2 community advocate awards from the Pacific Palisades community. So it's the most insane, psycho, diabolical thing I've heard in a minute, but it's not shocking. This is the same woman that will allow 7,000 houses to burn to the ground, 12 people to burn alive, and then actively cover it up, get caught covering it up, and then say that the LA Times is lying, even though they have the emails where she's altering the after action report, which, as far as I'm concerned, is obstruction of justice. So it's disgusting.
Something else, Nithya Raman, who is this Ivy League educated LA City Council human, married to a Hollywood producer. I think he was one of the producers of 30 Rock, which is actually a very good show. Anyway, she is also running. And there's some questions about why she's running. If she's running to just divide up the vote to prevent strictly to prevent Spencer Pratt from making a runoff and to help ensure Karen Bass's reelection. That's something that Pratt has advanced, possible. But regardless, she was upset because in that viral commercial that ends with Spencer Pratt going back to his new home, a trailer, he talks about Cynthia. He stands in front of Nithya Raman's house, $3 million mansion, says this is where she lives. This is where Karen Bass lives. And meanwhile, 7,000 people like me are in trailers or living with relatives because of Karen Bass's failure to properly respond to the blaze. That's essentially it. And he had this to say about Nithya Raman because she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in fear for my kid's safety because Spencer Pratt stood in front of my house and pointed to it on video." He responds to that as well.
These politicians do not have to live the consequences of their decisions. My ad is that simple. And for Nithya Raman to say her kids, the funniest part about that is I was in a suit outside of a public street for 1 second. She fights moms in her district that want to get drug dealing, drug addicts away from schools and parks. And she fights these moms. She's on camera saying there's no difference between 1 foot and 500 foot with drug addicts near kids. So now she's concerned about the safety of kids when that has to be her kids. What about all the parents who have kids that you fight because there actually are drug addicts that are exposing themselves naked in front of kids all across her district? So these people are diabolical, truly.
For more on this and other topics, Leah Leibovitz joins us, editor-at-large for Tablet, tabletmag.org, and host of the Rootless podcast. Leo, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Pleasure as always.
So is it your feeling, like it is mine, that's what Spencer Pratt is really tapping into, what he just said there a couple times in both of those instances with using both of his opponents as examples? They don't have to live with the consequences of their policy choices, the disastrous consequences of their policy choices, and they're particularly imperious about that. And it's, rather maddening, and that's what he's tapping into.
He had a great line yesterday. As I'm sure some of your listeners know, the election in Los Angeles is sort of party blind. You just vote for the candidate, not for the party. And they asked him, if you had to commit to some party, what letter would you put next to your name? And he said, what, if I had to choose, I would put an R next to my name. But that R would not stand for Republican. It would stand for responsible to the citizens. And I think that is a kind of shockingly refreshing, should be so obvious, yet all of those of us who live in large cities, I live in New York, where we face the same, chagrin every day, understand how little these brazen ideologues are responsible and committed to the actual safety and well-being of actual citizens.
Yeah, and there's something else, too. I think there's many with fashionable views that have money. And now they don't have a home in Pacific Palisades, and that's a wake-up call. That always sort of I see this in Chicago, the leafy suburbs of Chicago where the wealth really is. The same thing. At the end of the day, we have access, whatever incompetence or buffoonery or corruption, we're really insulated from it. It's not going to touch us, and we have access to these people, and we don't pay attention to their rhetoric, their class envy rhetoric, because they're just pantomiming what they need to pantomime in order to be elected. But we have that access, we have that relationship. We're going to be fine. But the nature of that neo-Marxist party in America now is different, and they actually are coming for the rich. By incompetence or with purpose in a way that was different previously, that in such a way that you're not insulated. And I think that dynamic it probably is lost on most of them at this point, just as it was the elites in France in the 1790s. But maybe there are some coming to that realization.
I'm actually, forgive me, this may be too much for a Tuesday morning, but I'm actually wildly optimistic. I think the rise of a very unlikely candidate like Spencer Pratt teaches you that the age of consequence-free recreational Marxism is over. The age in which, rich college-educated kids who do not face the consequences of their lunacy could just vote for these fools and then leave the rest of us to deal with a downfall. I think that age is over, because if you look, for example, at cities like Los Angeles, at cities like New York, we're beginning to see that elections have consequences. The people who voted for Karen Bass because they were so excited that finally they would be governed by the first ever Marxist black woman to be the mayor of Los Angeles, then found themselves facing a crisis that could have been completely averted, except for their mayor was in Ghana. The deputy mayor was under house arrest for making false bomb threats. I'm not making any of this
Right,
up.
yeah.
And the fire department was governed by some, radical identity politics person who was not appointed for the content of her character and her skill set, but rather for her identity markers. Once that happened, I think everyone understands, oh, wow, we actually have to give a shot to someone who promises to address the real problems, which are always the same problems. It's safety, it's infrastructure, it's quality of life.
Well, I mean, I hate to be a wet blanket, but he's still only at 12%. I mean, he's in second place, but it's not like it's a groundswell. I mean, so and there's still a lot of planks that must fall from a lot of eyes in L.A.
Listen, I agree, but I think that the important thing to take away from this candidacy, just in the same way that the Donald Trump candidacy heralded on a national scale, is that we're looking at some kind of real sea change here, because a candidate like this in, even an election cycle, say 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, would not have been viable, would not have been considered serious. I think people are so fed up with the Marxist nonsense and with a deliberate cruelty towards the, citizens of their own people, of their own cities, that they are beginning to open their eyes and consider their alternatives. Will Spencer Pratt prevail this time around? I agree with you. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's still a lot of energy behind the radical neo-Marxist candidates like Nikki Arami and other people in L.A. But I think we're beginning to see the groundswell of a real popular movement.
I have to get your take on this Tucker Carlson interview with Lulu Garcia-Navarro from the New York Times. I mean, this was a pretty good illustration of how the interview went. It was even more bizarre than Tucker has been over the last many months. The question, do you really think Trump is the Antichrist?
You've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist?
Here is Tucker Carlson on his show saying exactly that.
Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows?
And his response to being presented with a verbatim transcript of what he said and a clip of what he said.
I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it.
Leal, and it just got weirder from there, talking about Trump casting spells on people to make them compliant, wishing he hadn't done the Nick Fuentes interview because he would have rather focused on the war in Iran, even though the war in Iran wasn't occurring at the time he did the Nick Fuentes interview. What is your take on the continued disintegration of Tucker Carlson's mental acuity?
My take is bless God and pass the popcorn. I'm enjoying this tremendously because I think a lot of Americans are now seeing something that a lot of us have been saying for some months now. I mean, when the whole Tucker Carlson disintegration began, I think there were a lot of people who were genuinely alarmed and said, oh, wow, look, this is a new Father Coughlin type figure. This is a new kind of rising force in quote-unquote right-wing anti-Semitism, and this will change the face of the Republican Party, and this will make all the right-wing Americans feel and seem like they're little Hitlerites. And some of us were sitting there saying, like, no, this is a mentally unhinged person who is very entertaining to watch precisely because he's a mentally unhinged person. Give him time and enough rope, he will do the rest. And, right on schedule, here he is being absolutely ludicrous, saying things like, I don't know that Tucker Carlson fellow. I never heard of him.
It's just why it's one of those things I hesitate to do sort of armchair psychoanalysis from afar, but it's just hard to explain the choices that he's making if he is in full possession of his faculties, which maybe is another question.
I think the choice he's making is actually quite interesting. And in a weird way, it also kind of dovetails nicely with Spencer Pratt and Donald Trump. Look, I wrote a piece in the Free Press kind of making the argument that the last 20, 25 years in American life have all been, American political life, have all been one long reality show. Some of us were really slow to get onto this idea because we still thought, hey, now we have election and people are serious candidates, and though we may disagree, there's still kind of, civic mindedness in America, blah, blah, blah. In reality, we really are governed by a host of producers who every now and then come up with a new storyline. Hey, now there's a global pandemic and you're not allowed to play outside in the playground and all your children must put on masks. Hey, now there's a racism epidemic and everyone must burn cities, which is the only way to cure things, et cetera, et cetera. Some people understood really early on that this was the case and therefore are kind of bucking the rules. Donald Trump, I think, is a perfect example of someone who was able to climb through this and show all of us, hey, guys, this is all a rigged game. I'm here to work for you. Spencer Pratt is doing the same thing. Tucker Carlson, I think, is just the dark side of the same coin. Someone saying, hey, look, truth and beauty don't matter anymore in American public life. The only point, the only currency that someone like me could actually employ is saying crazy, crazy stuff and upping up the crazy as much as I can to remain relevant. That's a tried and true method in American, culture. The only problem with it is that at some point you run out of crazy. I mean, even Candace Owens, who literally said that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler who anticipates his own death, even she's going to run out of crazy at some point.
Leo Leibowitz, editor-at-large for Tablet Magazine, tabletmag.org, host of the Rootless podcast. Leo, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And Leo joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey Chicagoland, it's Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. If you recently inherited a property, you're likely navigating a lot right now. Loss, family decisions, and maybe some difficult conversations. And now there's a house to figure out. Here's what we've learned from helping hundreds of families since 2007. Every inherited home situation is different, and we're not here to judge. We're here to help. Our veteran-led team has seen it all. Houses that need major repairs, properties full of a lifetime of belongings, and families that just want a simple solution so they can move forward. Here's what you need to know. You don't need to repair anything or clear anything out. We'll give you a straightforward cash offer with no obligation, and you choose the closing timeline. Simple, respectful, straightforward. If you need guidance on your next steps with an inherited property, we are here for you. Call 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for our weekly installment of In-Depth History with Frank the History Teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Politically speaking, it might have worked out better for former Cook County Chief Judge Tim Evans if he had listened to the advice of Mrs. Froger from the game show Pig in a Poke and chose to opine on early Hungarian cabinet makers rather than going with geography of the brain. Because no matter the actual biochemical development of the prefrontal cortex by the age of 25, the comments he made about it are unpopular with many and contributed to his losing out on a 9th term. I wonder how Judge Evans would feel about John Wilkes Booth. He was 26 when he went up to President Lincoln without warning and shot him in the back of the head. Was Booth's prefrontal cortex functioning at that borderline age? Booth escaped D.C. with help, but was later caught in Virginia 12 days later and died in a barn fire started by Union troops who were in pursuit. So we'll never really know. Regardless, his co-conspirators, including Mary Surratt, were later put on trial and executed. Interestingly, they were not allowed to testify at their trials. This was not a conspiracy to silence them. Rather, it was a norm. Old English common law procedures dictated that the defendant was incompetent because it was felt he would say anything to prevent conviction. Juries relied heavily on third-party witness testimony and the theatrics of great lawyers like Daniel Webster, who took on the devil himself and won literary accounting. In fact, our Fifth Amendment and the right against self-incrimination has its origins as a judicial method to allow someone to remain silent rather than be forced to confess under torture, which was common in late medieval to early modern times. Remaining silent didn't really become a legal defense tactic until 1878, when the Defendant's Witness Act was passed. This law declared all defendants now competent to testify at trial, with a few exceptions. But today, we're reversing this with assumptions that because of brain development, you have no clue on how to act until age 25. But if so, maybe this is a legal mechanism that we can use to transfer most student college debt to the universities themselves, as those college-age students under the age of 25 just didn't know what they were getting into, did they?
Oh, that's an interesting twist at the end. You think a judge in the trial of Wilkes Booth's co-conspirators would have apologized to them for their treatment pending trial, like we got from that judge in North Carolina?
No, absolutely not. But, that was interesting. I mean, no, definitely not. It was totally different. I was surprised by some of the research I was doing on this at what it was like up until 1878 with that federal law. 1859, I think Maine was the first state to change it. You were assumed you couldn't testify at trial. The juries, you could make a statement at times, but they didn't have to listen to it. They were supposed to not listen to it.
Probably wouldn't have embraced the Safety Act either, I suspect. Frank, thank you as always. Wonderfully done. It is now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
We're about to get an update from the Pentagon. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. For more, Secretary Pete Hegseth in a few minutes on the operation President Trump calls Project Freedom to get more ships moving in the Strait of Hormuz while continuing to block Iran's ports.
Can't let them have a nuclear weapon or you'd have problems like nobody would believe. And it's going very well.
Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Tel Aviv.
There are more than 15,000 U.S. soldiers, sailors, and Marines in this area that are helping to escort these vessels. They are not actively riding alongside the vessels, but they are overwatching them. And so they have the ability to shoot down the incoming Iranian fire. But again, Iran is not only targeting vessels in the Persian Gulf, but they've now turned to start attacking with ballistic missiles and drones these countries in the Gulf, including the United Arab Emirates.
Iran warns the U.S. not to drag this back into a quagmire after the American military destroyed 6 small Iranian boats for attacking ships. There are reports a man who opened fire near the Washington Monument yesterday is facing charges today. Fox's Kevin Corke reports Secret Service spotted him first.
He appeared to have the imprint of a weapon on him. So when officers approached the guy, he took off and then he started firing on them. They, of course, returned fire. The suspect was hit, but then again, so was a child near the scene. Both the child and the gunman remain hospitalized. They are recovering.
Cole Allen remains jailed today after a judge apologized to the suspect in the White House Correspondents' Dinner attack for facing restrictive conditions in jail while on suicide watch. They are going to the polls today in 2 states. Indiana, President Trump is backing Republicans there in 7 primaries that he's trying to unseat GOP state senators to join Democrats, blocking a congressional redistricting. In Ohio,
Republican John Husted is running in his Senate primary unopposed. The former lieutenant governor was appointed to the seat by outgoing Governor Mike DeWine when then Senator J.D. Vance moved on to become vice president. On the Democratic side, former Senator Sherrod Brown is back and has far outraised his Democratic primary challenge.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. America's listening. 51 degrees. We have cloudy skies this morning. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. More than 100 employees at the Brookfield Zoo have walked off the job.
We needed to do this when the zoo said that we will no longer carry the Teamster healthcare. And they couldn't come up with a plan for any other type of healthcare.
Staff like Carrie Zapenza from Grounds and Custodial hit the picket lines yesterday after the union that represents them could not come to a contract agreement with the zoo. Chicago principal is being recognized. Golden Apple Foundation awarded Leo High School principal Shaka Rawls with the Golden Apple Award.
Our job is to serve our community, and through that, we educate young black boys, black and brown boys, with college acceptance rate at 100%, and we'll be doing that for the last 15 years.
Rawls was selected from nearly 100 nominations of pre-K through 12th grade school leaders and teachers. A tentative settlement has been reached between the union representing hundreds of Illinois State University employees and ISU's administration, possibly ending that nearly 1-month-old strike. Cubs walk off the Reds 5-4 in their series opener from Wrigley Field, while the White Sox blank the Angels 6-0. The News is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows, limited commercials, when you subscribe free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Goldbridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the Immune Enhancement Cocktail.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Can you give our listeners some examples of how you've helped clients over the years?
A couple of your listeners called in. They're a married couple. They're in their 60s. They were really concerned and tired of trying to manage their own investments. So their accounts were quite big, but they felt like they needed a little help with it so they didn't screw up at this stage of the game. So they couldn't afford to lose any money in the market moving forward, and trying to manage retirement on a fixed income was kind of a daunting task for them. So with about $1.5 million in 401k savings and other stocks and bonds, we rearranged their portfolio so that they had guaranteed future income, less volatility in the market, and of course tax savings. So now they have this peace of mind because they know that they have a protect and grow blueprint.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Sleep and relaxation just got smarter. The Zecliner by FlexSteel combines comfort with durable design, featuring custom adjustments like headrest, lumbar, heat, and massage, helping you unwind the right way. Whether you're watching TV or taking a well-earned break, Zecliner is built for you. Comfort, customization, and FlexSteel quality all in one chair. Experience the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way and affected his mobility. It became too painful to even go for walks. And when it seemed like John's only option was knee replacement surgery, a friend told him about the Joint Relief Institute and their affordable, non-surgical knee pain relief. John met with the Joint Relief Institute and discovered their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. High-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience at surroundchicago.com today. Inbound Kennedy, 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the Ike stop and go, you've got gapers to an outbound crash on the inbound side between I-355 and Mill Road. And the outbound side is solid with that accident. Right lane blocked outbound between Route 83 and Mill. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. A check of your forecast now in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a chance of showers in some areas during the early morning hours, followed by mostly cloudy skies and cooler temperatures. The high will reach 60 degrees. Tonight will bring partly cloudy conditions with a low of 43. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy and cool with a high of 56. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I want to talk about a big Daily Wire expose on benefits fraud in Columbus, Ohio. But just a couple of points of order before we proceed. One is, I think I mentioned that the judge in the White House Correspondent Association dinner assassins case was North Carolina, obviously D.C. I don't know why I misspoke there, but sometimes my brain shorts. The other matter, more important matter, the school in St. Charles, mentioned the middle school, talked about in the 5 o'clock hour the case of a 12-year-old boy with Down syndrome who was reportedly stabbed by someone on a school bus 13 times with a pencil, wanted to go to the doctor, wouldn't take him to the doctor, was taken home without any explanation to his parents about what happened. And there's not been any real reporting on this yet. School seems to be trying, District 303 seems to be trying to sweep it under the rug because this incident happened about a month ago. And it's a problem because that's a criminal assault, or at least it's a police matter. Redling Middle School in St. Charles is where that occurred, or it's, where the student attends, the student in question. Redling Middle School in St. Charles. So you know anything about this? Then, you can feel free to tell me, but better yet, tell the authorities And I don't mean the school, because apparently you can't rely on these district's authorities in this case, since it's gotten no attention and, from what I understand, no satisfaction from the victim's perspective. So, okay. Benefits fraud. This, to me, I mean, in addition to remapping, which is changing the balance of power on a daily basis. By the way, the Florida map has been passed by the new Florida map has been passed by the state legislature in Florida. And the projection is that could mean 4 more Republican seats in Florida. So we're definitely going to lose the House. Well, when you start moving a dozen to 2 dozen seats in terms of the viability for Republican candidates, maybe that is still very much in question. I would say with each passing day, it gets to be more advantageous to Republicans. So there's that. But the other wild card issue to me is this benefits fraud matter. And of course, last week you had federal authorities raid 9 daycare centers, quote unquote daycare centers in Minneapolis, something that, of course, Tim Walz tried to glom onto as working collaboratively with federal law enforcement. Yeah, right. They're working around Tim Walz and the power structure in Minneapolis, of course. Here's ABC7, though, the ABC affiliate in Minnesota, their version of ABC7, talking about some of the financial details of the state's largesse being distributed to these 9 daycare centers that are now under federal criminal scrutiny.
I want to focus on those 9 daycares raided by the feds. We have learned the state sent them $67 million in the last 8 years. That's your tax dollars spent on this child care assistance program known as CCAP. We look back at the last 8 years, but I want to focus on just the last 2 years in state data that we obtained. These 9 providers went from collecting about $8 million in 2023 to more than $16 million in 2025. That's more than double in just 2 years. But then look at this. The number of kids served remained relatively flat. A little fluctuation, but right about 1,000 kids every single year. Who's watching this?
Nobody.
Who's watching this? Nobody. Yeah, well, at least that's honest. It's obvious, so you might as well be honest about it. 312-642-5600, the alphawealthgroup.com answer line and text line. Which brings me to Luke Rosiak's investigative report from Columbus, Ohio. Luke Rosiak over at Daily Wire, good investigative reporter. He's done deep dives on other topics that have checked out previously, so somebody that I would have some faith in. He writes about his first installment in this series that he's writing about Ohio. I set my sights on Ohio, which, like Minnesota, has been granted waivers to expand Medicaid well beyond its original purpose. You could say the same about Illinois, FYI. Under the guise of health care, Ohio pays people to go to Medicaid beneficiaries' homes to perform homemaking and chores like cooking and cleaning. These people performing these personal service tasks don't even have to be health care workers, and in many cases are actually relatives of the Medicaid recipient. According to a Daily Wire data analysis, Ohio spent $1 billion on home health care in 2024, the last year for which data is available. Since the services are performed inside private residences, there's no way to know whether the workers went at all or what they're actually doing in exchange for taxpayer funds. An infinite number of small black boxes inside a black box. Multiple signs said the service provided and billed to the government was sometimes just, quote, companionship and conversation. As people realize the United States government will pay them to hang out with their own families, and sometimes that would be required, Northeast Columbus has seen its economy replaced by businesses that bill Medicaid. And Columbus, a city which, with the second largest Somali population in the country, has become, on the surface, the most unhealthy city on the planet. Well, if government is going to pay you to do it, one home health operator told me, people see it as lucrative, so they just jump on it. The new welfare queens aren't the recipients whose low incomes qualify them for poverty programs. They're the companions getting rich off of them. He goes on, in the coming days, you're going to meet he's profiling some of these individuals and operations. And, oh, by the way, this repeats itself, as you saw Nick Shirley do in L.A. with hospice providers, or Dr. Oz and company do in Minneapolis with, a building that housed all of these. I think it was. Maybe it was child care centers, right? Yeah, child care centers. There's 40, 50, 60, all single room offices, all housed in the same building. Well, it's the same story here with these home health services companies. Luke Rosiak found one building that, doors, opaque windows, clearly nobody there, and just one home health care business after another. Here's some sort of thumbnail sketches on some of the individuals operating these home health care businesses. A politician who founded an $11 million home health care company that he appeared to run part-time, who funded his campaign with donations from other home health care workers, other home health care owners. A woman who reinvented her janitorial LLC as a, quote, health provider, then billed Medicaid nearly $100,000 in the first month. A landlord who bought airplanes after renting space to hundreds of home health care companies that billed Medicaid $250 million. A $1 million Medicaid business owned by a couple with repeated fraud, violence, and theft convictions. A man who went to prison for Medicaid fraud, but told the government he was too broke to pay restitution, while his neighbors and associates preside over a poverty program empire. An accountant who lost his license stealing public funds, then opened up a $7 million home health care company using the address of a convicted money launderer's teenage son. I mean, that's pretty good. That's almost, that could be optioned into a Netflix movie. Accountant who lost his license for stealing public funds opens a $7 million home health care company. They bill $7 million Medicaid, using the address of a convicted money launderer's teenage son. Okay. And according to the Daily Wire investigation, nearly every person involved in these apparent scams is a foreigner. Luke Rosiak posts on X, almost all are run by Africans who I am certain the government is not properly monitoring because our system isn't set up to track people who all share combinations of just a few names and don't have birth dates. And he provides a list of what he's talking about as examples. Here's what he has to say about the so-called business model. The business model is simple. A 40-year-old Somali immigrant gets paid for spending time with and maybe cooking for his own 65-year-old mother. The middleman is one of thousands of home health care firms that have the designation number necessary to bill Medicaid. The 40-year-old becomes an employee of that company but has no clients other than his mother. There's no way to verify whether he actually even provided the services unless his own mother is willing to testify against him. The poverty program is different from things like food stamps because it has no monetary cap, and its extent is decided not by politicians but by any doctor willing to sign a form saying you could use some help around the house. It only takes one doctor who will say yes to churn out enough forms to bankrupt a state. In one building, like I was mentioning, he found 94 Medicaid home health care companies purporting to occupy this one office building, one nondescript, looks like a 3-level office building that took in more than $66 million in 2024 of taxpayer money. No windows on the outside hides the fact that there's no one on the inside. There's an entire street of these, Rosiak reports, on the ground in Columbus. Now, the one thing I would say to this about the home health care, because, of course, we dealt with this back when Pat Quinn tried to unionize home health care workers who provide care for their disabled children. Remember, he tried to intervene. This was Pam Harris and went all the way up to the Supreme Court, Harris v. Quinn. Tried to intervene. The state intervened to force parents into being members of SEIU, unionize them against their kids with this home health care program that's set up to provide a stipend for parents who provide care for a disabled child with disabilities. So, I don't dismiss home health care being a relative out of hand, but of course, the circumstances, exigent, like in the case of Pam Harris, who is better positioned to provide loving care for their son or daughter than mom and dad, right? That makes sense. That aligns the state with the interests of the family. That's what we want to do. But, of course, there are limits to this. This has to be thought through in a sensible fashion. There should be caps on this. It can't be unlimited. It's got to be sort of market rate for services. There needs to be documentation. There needs to be caseworkers that provide oversight here. This can't just be exactly what that gentleman said in Minnesota when asked by the reporter, and who's paying attention to this? No one is paying attention to this. It just, we just continue to send out automated checks to people who have passed what seems to be cleared a relatively low bar for getting a billing number. And once you have that billing number and you have an address, then the checks start coming, and there doesn't seem to be any interest in substantiating whether there is legitimate work being done, whether that work conforms to the limitations of the program. Oz said you could, Dr. Oz, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, he said that you could double the expected time horizon, life horizon, if you will, at this point, of Medicaid by eliminating the waste, fraud, and abuse, by eliminating these scams. These and so many others. I mean, again, this is just one area. Home health care, child care, hospice care, services for individuals with disabilities, medical device providers. Corey in Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Tell me again how these people are making our country better. Tell me again how they love the United States of America and are just here to escape this or that. These people are ripping us off in our face. And these legislators they're not capable of managing the public's money. I'm sorry. This has gotten way out of control.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Between, we're going to talk more about that at the bottom of the hour with Brian Longerin from FAIR, too, in terms of the doing the cost-benefit analysis. And this doesn't even get into, of course, the lack of vetting when it comes to people who pose open and notorious public safety threats. And it doesn't get into then how our criminal justice systems treat them, particularly in sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Yeah, we've really done a number on ourselves, haven't we? Jim in Crown Point.
This is not migration. This is an invasion. You've got low IQ people coming in here and just taking our money. And we don't stop anything. I quit watching the news. I quit watching all this stuff about, we're going to prosecute. Nobody gets prosecuted. Now all I do is watch the cats on Instagram. That's dancing cats. That's all I watch.
Okay. Your happy place. Keep watching the dancing cats. Tell me about the rabbits, George. I get it. But, on the flip side, by the way, J.D. Vance, responding to Luke Rosiek's expose, says, we're coming, basically. And you did have those federal raids of those daycare centers in Minneapolis last week. So, as we said at the outset of the anti-fraud task force that the president announced his effectively State of the Union address earlier this year. Look, it just has to be sustained. You're not going to get your hands around trillion-dollar programs that have been allowed to be fleeced for generations, particularly the last 4 years. You're just not, I mean, that's not going to happen overnight. But you need to sort of continue to provide work product that shows a methodical approach and real world results that puts everybody who's gaming the system, scamming the system, gaming is a euphemism, scamming it. There's everybody who's engaged in illegal activity, who's stealing other people's money. It puts them on notice that they could be next, number one, which should have a chilling effect. And number two, it actually hauls in, and to do that, you have to haul in people, and you need to show that that's exactly what's happening, that there are real prosecutions beyond that, massive charity in Minneapolis. And those raids on those daycare centers last week was a good example of what we need to see more and more of. And that's, really on J.D. Vance. It's on acting AG Todd Blanche and his team. Dr. Oz, anybody with RFK Jr., anybody with areas of responsibility here, like we would talk about with respect to L.A. and fire prevention, or Chicago and crime prevention. The same accountability standards will necessarily be applied to President Trump and his team. But there is some work product already, which is encouraging. And now you've got a lot more hands on deck in terms of people doing either professional journalism like Luke Rosiak or citizen journalism like Nick Shirley, which works fine for me too. The amazing thing, as we've said many times covering this sector, is how easy it is to identify. I mean, the scams they're running are not exactly intricate. This is not like a Spanish prisoner ruse, like, something David Mamet dreamed up here. This is straightforward. Sham offices and sham businesses and no paperwork and no oversight on the state government side or the federal government side, as the case may be, and people that are not vetted and people who are not here legally, or they can't prove that they're here legally, so they're not, and so forth. This doesn't take that much effort. So I think you're going to see, I think there is there's a sense of urgency here. There's a moral and political imperative here. And I think you're going to see a work product that maybe makes you take a break from just watching those cat videos on YouTube there, Jim. Lucas and Joliet.
Hey, I just want to make a comment about all that fraud. If we put Americans first, all that fraud money could be solving a lot of the problems in the United States with homelessness and so on. But then again, I want to also point out that with all that fraud, the Democrats don't want to say anything about what their party's doing and not auditing fraud and stuff like that. But yet, when we want to do better things as conservatives, they want to blame everything on Trump and blame everything on DeSantis and so on. So I think we need to figure out how to fix that.
Thanks for the call, Lucas. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So, Tim, let's check in on how you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Perhaps you have a story or two, a success story or two, an example of how you've helped clients recently.
I remember I had a neighbor who, believe it or not, was a longtime listener to your show.
And he had come up to me in the yard and said he wanted to stop and smell the roses and kind of get out of his job. He was done taking the train downtown to Chicago every day and basically working 60 hours a week for a company that didn't really care about him or his family. So we started running numbers, and lo and behold, he was able to retire 5 years earlier. He's now 12 years retired. He's a grandpa. He's loving life. He too needed a protect and grow blueprint, and he had to make sure he wasn't leaving anything to chance for their future.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just quickly, a little bit more on that case in St. Charles of the 12-year-old boy with Down syndrome who was stabbed 13 times with a pencil, allegedly, on the school bus. And this was a month ago. And we don't have much reporting on it, and we don't have any action from the school district. The parents of the 12-year-old boy did file a police report, so there's a public record of it. Also, I understand that in January, the girl who stabbed the 12-year-old boy with Down syndrome stabbed several kids in the hall during a class change, and yet nothing was done. And then 3 months later, she stabs this 12-year-old boy with a pencil 13 times on the bus. And one of the issues may be that, as I understand it, this is what I'm getting from a reliable source, that this girl is a she who is pretending to be a he. And maybe the school district is uncertain in how to handle a quote-unquote transitioning minor who is allegedly committing acts of violence against other students. Well, that's no excuse. Sorry. But now you start to maybe get some context as to why there is such inaction, the paralysis, the political paralysis, because adults can't bring themselves to do what is the right and obvious thing to do in any instance of violence, regardless of the identitarian characteristics of the parties. So we'll continue to update, and please share information with us if you have it, or more to the point, share it with the authorities, because now that some people are on this is not going to go away quietly, nor should it. And again, the school in District 303 is Redling Middle School in St. Charles. All right, now it's time to check the headlines with Mike.
Hours and 47 degrees. Expect cloudy and cooler conditions today. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. U.S. Navy attempting to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz today.
The U.S. says it has enhanced the security area in trying to move ships out of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. says that the military sank 6 small Iranian boats. President Trump has named this operation Project Freedom.
They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. They have no radar. They have no nothing. They have no leaders, actually.
And for the first time since the ceasefire began, the United Arab Emirates says its ships had come under attack from Iran. The country's defense ministry says Iran fired 15 missiles and 4 drones, one of which started a fire at an oil facility.
Emirati leaders claim the attacks were a violation of their sovereignty as officials in Iran warned the UAE not to get dragged into a conflict. Authorities pulled a body from a north suburban pond Monday. Cook County Sheriff's Office saying police responded to Linda and Holly in Maine Township, a body taken to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. A tentative settlement has been reached between the union, repping hundreds of Illinois State University employees, and ISU's administration. The two sides have been negotiating since April of last year. Cubs walk off the Reds 5-4. White Sox over the Angels 6-0. The news a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland's state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks, 708-889-5600. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company.
It's Reveille. On May 1st, the grace period ended for many people who previously received benefits under SNAP. The media is reporting 120,000 Illinoisans could lose this food benefit that averages $200 per month. New rules will now require able-bodied adults without a child under age 14 to work, volunteer, or participate in a training or education program for at least 80 hours per month. That's half the work hours most people put in at a job. The media, though, is feverishly reporting on this benefit, and Democrats in Springfield have filed bills to give anyone who loses the benefit $600 immediately to see them through for the next 3 months. Not being emphasized, though, is that if the able-bodied recipients simply do something, they keep the benefit. By the numbers, in January, over 1.7 million Illinoisans received SNAP benefits at a total cost of over $337 million for just that month. Annually, that becomes a cost of over $4 billion. This massive program is paid for by federal taxpayers but administered by the state. States are penalized if they fail to keep down fraud in the system, and Illinois isn't very good at doing that, so right now they are facing a penalty of $770 million, 20% of the annual cost. The Foundation for Government Accountability took a deep look at the SNAP program nationally. They found that more than 1 in 5 food stamp enrollees did not have their identity match the address listed on their application. They found countless others had addresses that were marked as undeliverable or registered to a business. Hundreds of thousands of enrollees had their address listed as being in another state, with many having no record of ever living in the state in which they were receiving benefits. There's plenty of fraud going around in this program and others, and it's time to clean it all up. I'm Jeannie Ives. Listen to The Real Story at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Conservative Rick Niemeyer has represented us in Northwest Indiana for many years, and he's notched conservative victories win after win. Niemeyer passed the largest tax cut in Indiana history from right here in Northwest Indiana. And he stood up to protect Indiana farmland from Chinese companies, closed every loophole from foreign ownership to protect our way of life and our food supply. And guess who passed constitutional carry for the whole state of Indiana? It was Rick Niemeyer from Lowell, Indiana. Oh, and he banned biological boys and girls sports, too, standing up for farmers, families, and values. That's why Rick Niemeyer has been endorsed by the Indiana Farm Bureau, the NRA, Indiana Right to Life, and more. Now Niemeyer is fighting the tough issues of today, standing up to NIPSCO and their rate hikes, and protecting farmers' property rights against the land grabs of pipeline companies. Rick Niemeyer, the conservative you can count on for state senate. Paid for by the committee to elect Rick Niemeyer.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Taking a look at the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. The service of Straight Talk Wireless. Kennedy slammed an hour 15 O'Hare into the circle this morning. Ike on the inbound side. You're jammed up Jane Addams all the way into the old post office. That is an hour and 20. Stevenson, slow traffic on the ramp to the inbound Dan Ryan this morning. Dan Ryan, an accident, right center lane block. 3 vehicles involved. It's inbound between the Skyway to past 18th with all of the delay this morning. Every now and then you find a deal that actually feels like a win with Straight Talk Wireless. You get more and pay less. Now that's a good deal. No credit checks, no surprises. Verizon's 5G network. Find it at the same place you've always found straightforward prices. Walmart, and straighttalk.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Shower in spots early this morning. Otherwise, cloudy and cooler, a high near 61.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation. All things Illinois policy related with WirePoint's folk, including WirePoint's emeritus, Ted Dabrowski, who will join us momentarily. I do want to provide a little PSA. Today is primary election day in the Hoosier State next door, the future home of the Bears, potentially. So you may want to take judicial notice of that, particularly if you're listening in the 219, to make sure you get out and vote. Okay, done my duty. Remember this guy? Mr. Hammer Time on the Red Line from back in March. He's been arrested at least 49 times since 2015, according to CWB Chicago. Back in March, he had just gotten out of Statesville. Did a little stretch there, apparently. So he said. I'll take his word for it. And he was on the Red Line with a hammer in each hand, threatening passengers, talking about how he was going to kill Whitey and Whitey sympathizers.
I'll kill him, whatever's white on him. I ain't lied about shit. I see it, bitch. I just got robbed by dyke white bitches. Every black bitch that kiss ass to the white folks, I'm gonna kill them for real. I'm gonna kill your bitch ass for real right now. The problem on the Red Line, we finna solve this. Mississippi bitch killing at the white folks. I'm gonna get rid of this for real. A white bitch still on the machine with you, I'm gonna kill that too. And I just got out of Stateville Penitentiary 2 days ago. I'm finna kill for real. Every slave mentality finna get past the white folks. It's finna die. I'm solving the problems of the Red Line here for real. I'm solving the white problem of the Red Line here. I'm solving the white problem for real.
Well, you'll be surprised to learn that the prison sentence didn't set him straight. He didn't beat the odds on recidivism. About 10 days after that video was posted, Chicago police arrested him after he threatened to kill a 55-year-old service station employee with a hammer in the 8700 block of South State Street. Walk with me on this one. Threatened to hit cashier and customers with metal hammer, like he was threatening to hit passengers on the Red Line with a metal hammer. And, you know, one of these times you may just do it. You should see the face. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, you should see the video on the faces on the passengers. I mean, they're just trying to keep their heads down and hope he doesn't swing it. That's not a good position to be in. When he threatened to hit the cashier and customers at this gas station, it was the second time he had caused a disturbance at that gas station that day. When police arrived and detained him, he told them, "I promise to Jesus I'm going to kill that Arab retard," quote unquote. Did he take some classes, and was he about to turn his life around like the guy who murdered John Bartholomew and critically injured the other police officer at Swedish Covenant? Police cited him, gave him a notice to appear in court, took him to St. Bernard Hospital for a psych evaluation. Shockingly, he failed to show up for court, and so did the victim, so the case was dropped. 3 days later, Cook County Sheriff's Police patrolling the Red Line saw him again sleeping across a row of streets with 2 hammers protruding from a backpack on the seat next to him. They recognized him from recent news stories about a man threatening people with hammers on CTA trains. It's hard to pick him out. So many. The officers told him he could not sleep on the train. Prosecutor said he became agitated, declared he was the king of the CTA, and then threatened to strike an officer in the head and, quote, blow the back of his head off, unquote. He repeated the statement approximately 9 times, according to prosecutors, and then officers detained him when the train stopped, charged with threatening a public official. This time, after only 50 arrests, a judge decided to detain him as a public safety risk. Do you think? You think he's a public safety risk? Court records show 80 separate cases filed under his name dating back to 1997, 4 of them felonies. He's been arrested by Chicago police 46 times since 2015, with additional arrests by other agencies. And I guess he had just gotten sprung in March when that Red Line incident occurred, after serving the better part of 2 years for a robbery case in which he pleaded guilty to unlawful restraint. So you think the Cook County criminal justice system is learning its lesson after the cop killing? Yeah, I don't think so. In a related story, DHS told Fox News Digital exclusively that ICE officers went to Chicago and arrested a Guatemalan national who had been released from jail after his ICE detainer was ignored, following a conviction for aggravated sexual abuse of a 5-year-old. He also had a 2011 firearm battery conviction. But instead of honoring the ICE detainer, ICE had to encounter him on the streets. They had to locate him himself because, it's a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state, no cooperation. A pedophile. We learning our lessons yet? Obviously not. For more on all this, pleased to be joined by WirePoint's President Emeritus and former Republican gubernatorial candidate Ted Dabrowski. Ted, great to talk to you again.
Thanks for having me on, Dan. Great to be back on. And no, there are no lessons learned, Dan. If anything, they're leaning into this stuff more, right? The other side. So we'll just keep watching it happen.
Well, I mean, and it seems to me that I mean, this is partly my job, so I'm going to do it. But we need to continue to circulate these stories and inform the ill-informed and ask the obvious questions. I mean, is this the way you think these things should be handled? I don't know what else to do in terms of how you try to generate the requisite knowledge for people to make better political decisions.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time, especially since the election. How do we prosecute this case? Because the common sense tells us it's all on our side, right? The facts, it's all on our side. The fact that these people can keep being released and keep doing harm to people, it's all in our favor. And you would think that forcing ICE to track down these people rather than having our own local law enforcement track these people down. It's crazy. So it makes you think about what is the innovation to prosecute this case, because these things are so dadgum obvious. They happen all the time, and yet there's this weird way of the other side totally ignoring it or somehow justifying it or making an excuse for it. And,
maybe
happen over and over.
Maybe Marion Ahern can ask Jelly Belly about it in one of their romantic lakefront strolls. You know, I mean, because they're also lying. I mean, in addition to being ideologues, and necessarily they have to lie to maintain the facade of the righteousness of their ideology. J.B. Pritzker will say, oh, of course, violent criminals, predators, of course they should be deported. And yet here we have a situation. I think sexual assault of a 5-year-old is a violent crime. Pretty sure that is. And yet that detainer wasn't honored because their ideological blinders are on. But unfortunately, so is most of the electorates at this point.
Well, yeah, that's the kind of thing that brought Mike Dukakis down way back when, right? Like a few bad cases brought him down. And here we do this every day now, and it's okay. And like you say, the news organizations don't challenge Pritzker and others when it just be fair game, and he should be abused for it. It's like we said on many things that Pritzker does, they're disqualifying acts for him to be governor, yet he gets away with it.
Alderhuman William Hall, 6th Ward, Southside, he picked up on the statement he made over the weekend per the announcement that Walgreens in the Chatham neighborhood would be closing that store because, there's been like a lot of theft and vagrancy and problems, and it's just not a place conducive to having a business. He got a presser with a little rally together. Made up some signs about corporate responsibility, and had this to say about Walgreens shutting down that store.
Walgreens should be charged with first-degree corporate abandonment. Yes. It should be a crime the way they're treating our elders. Yes. It should be a crime the way they're treating our families. Is it true that folks are stealing? They're stealing everywhere. Because when you cut jobs in people's communities, and folks want to figure out how do I provide for my kids, or if I can go to a store and steal a loaf of bread. Is stealing right? No. But what's wrong is first-degree corporate abandonment.
Stealing is wrong, but it's not that wrong. It's certainly not as wrong as closing your store because no one will prevent the stealing.
Have you heard of that law, that corporate abandonment law?
I have not. I don't know if that's on the books or not.
It's a good one.
I mean, that's going to be, it's the East German model, build a wall to keep people in. You're allowed to open if we say you can open. You're not allowed to close unless we say you can close.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a sad situation too, right? Because it's a spiraling of all these policies coming together, right? Lack of enforcement of law, no longer demanding people, respect the law. So you have people coming in and just destroying these Walgreens. What else can they do? What else can they do but close? And, of course, that does leave people stranded in the South Side or West Side or wherever that is. And it just creates a spiral for those communities. And it's why we need to, totally reverse this and get back. It starts with law and order. If you can't have law and order in those neighborhoods, then you'll never have any kind of companies building up there because it just won't work.
Yeah, it's worth noting, as I understand it, a Target in that same neighborhood recently closed for largely the same reason. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you have, why don't they just provide, why don't they hire their own security? Well, okay, well, now that's an additional expense, number one. Number two, I've got all sorts of legal exposure if there's a confrontation. And what am I going to tell my security? I'm going to tell them, don't bother trying to interdict any theft because it's not worth it for us. So what is the point of all this, right?
Yeah, we've seen so many videos of employees people just watching them rob the store, because if not, one, you can get an employee killed, then you're going to be liable if you're the store owner, or you're just going to get in a mess in the public, and it's just a lose-lose situation for a place like Walgreens.
All right. Well, I'm sure many people listening, inquiring minds as they are, want to know what you're doing and what you're going to do with the rest of your life after your campaign for governor this past primary. So you've had about a month and a half to process everything. Where are you at these days?
Well, first thing I will say is I'm not moving to Florida. Like most people who lose an election,
like certain people.
Like certain people, I won't name who, but. If anything, I finished more motivated after the election. Of course, you never want to lose, but winning the 3 largest counties was a big deal. Winning Cook County and the Colorado by 9 points said something about our race that excited me. And of course, I learned how difficult it was to get a voice downstate because it's just so dispersed. There is no major media market, and of course, you need to have lots of money to do that. So I learned a lot of good things, but I loved it. But that said, there's something to be said for having a lot of people rally around you and realize that you have a potential message. So I'm thinking about how to do things better. I hate seeing Illinois lose. I refuse to give in to the likes of a Brandon Johnson and a Pritzker and a Preckwinkle and the whole long list of what I would call failed leaders. And so I'm working on creating the next initiative so that we go a little deeper, a little faster, and a lot stronger.
All right. So you have not
hopefully to announce something soon.
All right. So you have not abandoned hope. You're staying in the fray.
You got to be ready. At some point, enough is enough. And we haven't, Dan, you've talked about this a long time. How far down do we have to go before we finally turn around? And we may have to go a lot further down, but you have to be ready when that happens. And I'd say that there's a lot of Illinois who want change. We're a bit trapped in a system that's so, over unionized, over politicized, over controlled, right? Everything that there's a lack of freedom. We have to fight back for it. So I'll be working on that.
Very good. Ted Dabrowski, former Republican gubernatorial candidate and WirePoint's president emeritus. Ted, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now. Prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins in bars, but also those old coin collections. You might have scarce dates or higher grade coins, so take advantage of the record high market price and the demand now. Whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out values, trust the team at Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, 8:08, Brian Longerin, Federation for American Immigration Reform. Are immigrants a net positive? It's more complicated than you think. Some are, some less so. We'll discuss the data with Brian Longerin, 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
They prefer Project Freedom via peaceful operation. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and the War Secretary just said the ceasefire with Iran is still in place, but Pete Hegseth also warns Iran the military is
locked and loaded to defend our people, our ships, our aircraft, and this mission without hesitation.
As the operation works to get stranded ships moving again with escorts in the Strait of Hormuz.
To Iran, let innocent ships pass freely. These international waters belong to all nations, not to Iran to tax, toll, or control.
But Iran has warned the U.S. not to drag this back into a quagmire the day after targeting ships on the first day of Project Freedom. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane says
they also launched cruise missiles, drones, small boats at U.S. forces defending commercial shipping in the Straits, and United States Navy MH-60 helicopters and Army AH-64 Apache helicopters successfully defeated those threats. Thus far, today is quieter.
The U.S. military also went on the attack again in the Caribbean, blowing up a another suspected drug trafficking boat, killing another 2 alleged narco-terrorists. There have been more than 50 such attacks in this U.S. anti-drug operation since September. 150 cruise passengers remain stranded at sea, not allowed into a port in the Cape Verde Islands near West Africa because of a deadly hantavirus outbreak on board that's left 3 passengers dead, 7 others sick, scaring those in quarantine on the ship, like Jake Rosemarin, who posted this on social media.
We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home.
Hantavirus can be spread through contact with rodent droppings. There's also another strain that can be person-to-person spread. It's found in Argentina, where the cruise originated. The World Health Organization's investigating. America's listening to Fox News.
Mostly cloudy, 48 degrees in Chicago. On AM 560, The Answer, I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Walgreens store on Chicago's South Side closing. Alderman William Hall and community members were highly critical of Walgreens for that decision.
And in my opinion, it should be considered a first-degree corporate crime. Because the amount of people that will be hurt by this, the amount of elders that will not have access to health care is evil.
The major pharmacy chain says the store at 86th and Cottage Grove is shutting down June 4 due to high levels of theft and violent incidents. A tentative settlement reached between the union representing hundreds of Illinois State University employees and ISU's administration. The tentative agreement reached late Monday after a 12-hour bargaining session. Federal officers found 22 firearms and over 40 kilos of drugs inside a Chicago man's storage unit. The U.S. Attorney says Mario Neustadler of Chicago sold fentanyl and methamphetamine to an undercover officer in Chicago 3 times between January and late February of this year. Neustadler was arrested April 7. Cubs walk off the Reds 5-4, while the White Sox blank the L.A. Angels 6-0. The news is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and your business. Search American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark, American Beam and Steel. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank, and the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
United Health Group says it is streamlining approval for medical procedures. The changes will cut the number of reviews needed by nearly a third starting later this year. It says some tests, including EKG, some chiropractic care, and outpatient surgeries will be more easily approved. Pharma giant Pfizer shares are higher after it reported an upbeat quarter. DuPont shares are up 1.5%. The chemicals and materials producer made a profit in the recent quarter after losing money a year ago. It's raising expectations for the year and will buy back stock. There's a crypto merger. Cryptocurrency exchange Bullish says it will buy Equinity for $4.2 billion. Equinity processes payments and supports shareholders. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlow, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Goebridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Donley Auctions. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer Line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
RedState.com captures the pulse of grassroots conservatism. Red State staff of contributors are on top of breaking news with stories and analysis that challenge the established agenda. RedState.com educates, motivates, and activates passionate conservatives across America, arming them with the facts that put them ahead of the political curve. No wonder RedState.com is a must-read for elected officials and for citizens who want to make their vote count. RedState.com is the place where influence meets action. Log on to RedState.com today.
The success you've had in life matters. The late nights, the extra shifts, the moments you've stood up and said, I've got this. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we value your achievements because we're a school for real life. With UMGC, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and relevant life and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer scholarships, affordable tuition, and online and hybrid classes, all with the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. As an accredited state university, we've been transforming lives for over 75 years. Choose from more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, and get ready to succeed again. At UMGC, success is yours for the taking and the making, and nothing should keep you from it, especially not an application fee. Apply now and we'll waive your application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes and get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Sleep and relaxation just got smarter. The Zecliner by FlexSteel combines comfort with durable design, featuring custom adjustments like headrest, lumbar, heat, and massage, helping you unwind the right way. Whether you're watching TV or taking a well-earned break, Zecliner is built for you. Comfort, customization, and FlexSteel quality all in one chair. Experience the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
8:09, Team Hocker Traffic Center time, and this update is service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business, it's calling. Family owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com. Northwest Indiana's leading home builder. Steiner Homes, love where you live. DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound jamming up between the Stevenson and Monroe. Veterans Toll jamming up southbound as you travel between I-290 and St. Charles. An accident on 8094 westbound right at Calumet Avenue, and an accident along I-65 northbound just before Ridge Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but first, check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a chance of showers in some areas during the early morning hours, followed by mostly cloudy skies and cooler temperatures. The high will reach 60 degrees. Tonight will bring partly cloudy conditions with a low of 43. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy and cool with a high of 56. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. President Trump posting on Truth Social some data on immigration. Are immigrants a net positive or net negative in terms of the cost benefit? What they contribute versus what they take in state benefits? Well, it's complicated. Depends where the immigrants come from as a cohort. This is what Trump posted. Lifetime contribution per immigrant. If the immigrant is from North America, plus $573,000. If the immigrant is from Scandinavia, plus $557,000. From Japan, plus $525,000. From the UK, plus $481,000. From the Oceania region, plus $476,000. If the immigrant is from the developing world, Somalia, minus 1.1 million. Sub-Saharan Africa, minus 730,000. Central and North Africa, minus 700,000. Caribbean, minus 675,000. Middle East, minus 624,000. Latin America, minus 271,000. And this is not to say that every person from regions that are net negatives is a net negative, of course. This is aggregate data. But it definitely speaks to something that we've talked about a multitude of times, which is an assessment of the individual immigrant's potential and desire to assimilate and potential and desire to be self-sufficient is judicious. It's not unfair. It's not the only aspect of the equation, the only variable in the equation, but it's certainly a legitimate one of them. Two of them, isn't it? A new report from the Federation for American Immigration Reform is also getting a lot of attention, and it's along those same lines. Highlights of this FAIR report aggregate the contribution of people in this country illegally versus the cost of people in this country illegally. And for more on that topic, I won't step on his work. Brian Longren joins us. He's the Director of Strategic Communications and Content at FAIR, Federation for American Immigration Reform. He's also the co-host of the No Border, No Country podcast. Brian, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan, good morning.
Morning. Those numbers, before we get to your numbers, those numbers that Trump tweeted out, or posted on Truth Social, I should say, those strike you as accurate?
They sound accurate, and I think it goes back to something you mentioned there, which is assimilation, and the people who come here who are more likely to assimilate, who are a better cultural fit, are more likely to be productive versus those who are not.
Right, and and once upon a time that was the basis of our immigration policy, and we have obviously. Per particular administrations veered wildly off that course. And it seems to me that you can be pro-legal immigration in a sensible way with those two variables at the top of the assessment. And I know Sotomayor in the TPS case that's pending before the Supreme Court suggests any such analysis like that is inherently racist, but I would vociferously disagree, wouldn't you?
Yes, and the other thing, Dan, is a question of sheer numbers. I mean, everyone remembers the visuals from the Biden administration. It looked like a prison break at the border every day. I mean, you just had tens of thousands coming across on a given day. What I never hear discussed is this country needs a cooling off period. We need a dramatic reduction in legal and illegal migration into this country to absorb, not just absorb, but get rid of the people here who shouldn't be here. We can't just keep going at the numbers we've been going and be shocked that a lot of these people are a drain on our social services, a drain on our economy in numbers of ways.
Well, and including what we've been talking a lot about over the last several months, which is benefits fraud. And we were just talking earlier in the show before you joined us about the expose that Luke Rosiak over at Daily Wire did on Columbus, Ohio, and it's jarring, just as Minneapolis is jarring, just as hospice fraud in California is jarring. I mean, it's not exclusively people in this country illegally or even legal immigrants, but they're a significant factor in the conversation.
Absolutely. And also in the other topic that we were talking about, which is, workplace enforcement. That's something that's not been done in this country to any degree that it should. You've got people here legally taking jobs that Americans should have, driving down the wages that Americans should be receiving in their jobs, but they're not, again, because of those sheer numbers and the fact that they're allowed to work here with illegal status.
Well, with respect to those workplace raids, I read your piece, and you suggest that they are coming, and as you so indicated, they're necessary. But in part, per Tom Homan's pronouncements and others, it strikes me as a bit of a resource issue, given the resources that need to be devoted in the context of all these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, just to deal with the first order priority, which is people in this country illegally, and particularly those who pose public safety threats.
Right. And it's a question of how you want to approach the problem. I mean, ICE has been vilified for doing enforcement operations, and we've seen that, a lot of people that, while they say they support mass deportations, when they see how the sausage gets made, they get queasy, and they say, "Ooh, I don't like the way that looks." Well, the other option is, if you cut off the ability of a lot of these people to get jobs, to hold bank accounts, to remit money back to their home countries, you're going to see a lot less of a powerful magnet drawing these people to want to come in here.
Well, and it's something, too, where there needs to be a little bit of recognition of what the other side is openly stating they're committed to. For example, Pramila Jayapal, the neo-Marxist from Washington State, who was the band manager for the Socialist Spice Girls, that little caucus, she gave this, cri de coeur in advance of a May Day rally last week. Take a listen to this.
We, the movement, Democrats in the House, Democrats in the Senate, and all of us on the outside said not a dime more for ICE and CBP without massive force, because those agencies don't even need to exist. They need to be completely dismantled.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're successful with that, right? We just funded all of DHS except for ICE and CBP.
Yes. Right. That's right.
So that would not have happened without this movement. So today, as we march, let's just count all the ways in our head as we go through, all the ways that we have power. We have power individually, with the decisions we make, with the places we go, with the shops that we frequent, but we also have power as human beings with our networks to bring more people in, to train more people in what it looks like to have effective nonviolent resistance. And that's why I do Resistance Lab. We have our next session Sunday at 11 o'clock. Please sign up, resistancelab.us. We've trained 30,000 people across the country. This is what it's going to take. Ongoing, dedicated, organizing work that lifts other people up, that brings new people in.
I'll take her at her word, 30,000 professional agitators that they have trained to be their effective army, and more to come.
Well, at least they're telling us who they really are now, Dan. Before we heard, well, we want the same things you do. It's just how we want to approach it. Well, that's not really the case anymore. They're just exposing the truth that they don't believe in the same America that we do. They don't want any immigration enforcement whatsoever. They don't even want criminal aliens deported anymore. And that goes back to the sanctuary cities you mentioned. They don't want anyone deported because they have a vested interest in keeping as many illegal aliens in this country as possible. And it's curious that they also, you notice how much they fought the idea that ICE would be at polling places. Why was that if they claim illegals aren't voting? You can connect the dots pretty easily there.
Well, right, and we saw the Amazon Post of all outlets had this piece about the impact the SAVE Act would have on electoral outcomes, and their projection was if the SAVE Act was the law of the land, for example, President Trump would have won New Mexico in 2026. And you would have states like Connecticut and Maryland that are perceived to be deep blue states coming within the range of competitive states. So, I mean, even a leftist outlet like the Amazon Post is conceding the underlying point without, admitting it explicitly.
Right. And Dan, can you think of another issue where there's almost 80% consensus in this country that we should go a certain way, and one party is just willing to die on the Hill to oppose it? That's what's going on with voter ID right now. The public has said clearly they want this in both parties, and they're dying on this Hill. They're fighting for this like their lives depend on it, and really their political lives do depend on it.
Yeah. I want to get back to this, the highlights from this report that your organization did, FAIR did. I want to bury the lead there, but give us some of what the data that you generated from the analysis that you did on the benefits and costs of illegal immigration.
Well, anti-borders activists are very quick to talk about how people here illegally they give more benefit than they take. Well, they say they pay taxes, and they will have these arguments. But when you drill down in that data, you can see it's a net loss for America, because when you think of the welfare benefits, you think of the schooling, the health care, the housing required. There is no way these people are paying taxes that are even equivalent or greater than the cost of all those things I mentioned. So it's fantasy to think that we're taking in people with these kind of numbers and that America is not footing the bill for almost all of their activities here.
And just to give an order of magnitude from your report, illegal aliens contribute about $31 billion in tax revenue per year, but they cost an estimated $182 billion per year. That's not a great ROI.
Right. The bottom line is $150.7 billion in deficit per year from illegal immigration in this country. And they can say, well, these deportation operations, we can't afford this. It costs too much. Well, we're already spending $150 billion a year on this problem. It would be much more cost-effective to focus on removals and workplace enforcement. Those things would rid us of those costs versus the one-time costs of the enforcement.
And just out of curiosity, I mean, your ability to gather and collate this data to provide somewhat of a picture of the cost benefit. How did you come up? What was the methodology, I suppose, in the study?
Well, we had people looking at a lot of different metrics, a lot of different data points, and the information is out there. And the problem is you get a lot of people, like I said, these anti-borders activists, they only see the data they want to see. We're looking at everything. We're looking at all those factors we talked about. And if you do an honest appraisal of these costs and these benefits, you're going to see clearly that illegal immigration is a huge cost to this country and to all the taxpayers.
And when you talk about the need for workplace raids, and I want you to address another aspect of this that we've heard a lot about for a long time, and I think people are a little confused about whether and where it's implemented and so forth. But the E-Verify on the front end to encourage, to compel businesses to properly vet prospective employees as it pertains to their citizenship status or their ability to work in the United States legally.
Yes, we at FAIR are strong proponents that E-Verify should be mandatory. You've got whole industries that have been built on going around the immigration laws. You're talking about construction, meatpacking, hospitality. They don't have to hire illegals. They choose to because a large portion of the business world in this country is addicted to cheap foreign labor. And the loser in that is American citizens, and in this case, blue-collar workers, because they're the ones getting squeezed out by this alliance between corporate America and cheap foreign labor. And, E-Verify would be a very good tool to help wean corporate America off of the cheap foreign labor.
And with respect to that issue, is the battle lines, are they more or less the same as they have been for several generations, which is, as you were sort of intimating, corporate America, chambers of commerce are allied essentially with the left on this issue, whereas trade unions, for example, are allied with conservatives on the issue?
Trade unions traditionally have not been. I think they're starting to see the light a little bit now. But, these corporations are not going to correct themselves voluntarily. They're going to need the carrot and the stick. Another thing I mentioned in that article was that federal contracts should not be available to companies that have been found to be hiring foreign labor like this. There's a lot of tools that the government can use, incentives and punishments to correct behavior. So it can be done. It's just also, as I said in there, we just need the will to do it. That's all. We need the will to tune out the critics who are going to try to emotionalize these issues and play on our sensitivities and things like that. We just need to do it because it's the right thing to do.
What's your sense of where Tom Homan is on the on this issue of workplace raids?
Well, he had said that they're coming, and he's very law and order, and I think he sees the value of that. So I would imagine he's for it. I think what the administration does not want is a repeat of what we saw in Minneapolis, people losing their lives, and a lot of that is on these protesters who were inserting themselves into the operations. But I think there's ways that these things can be done to minimize that. And it's something that, again, was not done at all during the Biden administration, hardly, and is very much needed.
Ryan Longren is the Director of Strategic Communications and Content at the Federation for American Immigration Reform. He's also the co-host of the No Border, No Country podcast. Brian, thank you as always.
Thanks, Dan.
And Brian joins us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind, which has to be rewarding. Doing it a long time. You've got a lot of success stories on a daily basis, I'm sure. Can you give our listeners an example of a family that you've helped out recently that comes to mind?
We had a 65-year-old call who had been listening to your show, and he called us and he said, he wanted to know, do I have enough assets? I'm really tired of working. I'm burnt out, et cetera. And he didn't know if he had the resources, and he didn't have the knowledge to get to the answer of that. So we helped him prepare a Protect and Grow blueprint. And by doing that, we helped position his money for income and cut back on the risks that they had in their current portfolio.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Hey, business owners, is your business and money in good hands? Does your bank invest in your success? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that when you need a relationship bank, Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. I love these guys. Not only do they have expansive industry experience, a strong financial track record, but they're also highly capitalized for strategic growth. That's so important. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. They know what it means to grow a business by designing solutions that are right for you and only you. These are real people. They're ready to help. So reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Make the call today, 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Go online, signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Conservative Rick Niemeyer has represented us in Northwest Indiana for many years, and he's notched conservative victories win after win. Niemeyer passed the largest tax cut in Indiana history from right here in Northwest Indiana. And he stood up to protect Indiana farmland from Chinese companies, closed every loophole from foreign ownership to protect our way of life and our food supply. And guess who passed constitutional carry for the whole state of Indiana? It was Rick Niemeyer from Lowell, Indiana. Oh, and he banned biological boys and girls sports too, standing up for farmers, families, and values. That's why Rick Niemeyer has been endorsed by the Indiana Farm Bureau, the NRA, Indiana Right to Life, and more. Now Niemeyer is fighting the tough issues of today, standing up to NIPSCO and their rate hikes, and protecting farmers' property rights against the land grabs of pipeline companies. Rick Niemeyer, the conservative you can count on for state senate. Paid for by the committee to elect Rick Niemeyer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, Professor of Politics at Catholic University, Jakob Griegel joins us to talk about Iran and whether it's time to reinitiate the retaliatory de-escalation strikes. 8:38, now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan, good morning. 46 degrees and some light rain showers in Chicago. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The Supreme Court says its ruling striking down Louisiana's congressional map, a move opponents say limits a principal part of the Voting Rights Act, can go into effect immediately. That means Republicans can now get to work in Louisiana, redrawing congressional districts. Voters in Indiana and Ohio head to the polls today for several primary races. Interest in Indiana's races grew after President Trump endorsed 7 GOP primary challengers to Republican state senators who voted against last year's redistricting plan. New Mexico is calling for Meta and its social media platforms to be declared a public nuisance. The state wants the company to pay $3.7 billion. Authorities pulled a body from a north suburban pond Monday. Cook County Sheriff's Office said police responded to Linda and Holly Lanes in unincorporated Maine Township, where the body was taken to the Cook County ME's office. A tentative settlement reached between the union representing hundreds of Illinois State University employees and ISU's administration. A tentative agreement was reached late Monday after a 12-hour bargaining session. Cubs beat the Reds 5-4. White Sox blanked the Angels 6-0. The news service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the immune enhancement cocktail.
Penny Mustard is proud to introduce the latest innovation in home furnishings, presenting the single-seat mini sofa.
What are you talking about?
Look right there.
That's not a single-seat sofa.
It has fabric, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it's plush, right?
Sure.
And you sit on it.
Obviously.
So you tell me what that is.
It's Penny Mustard's new line of upholstered dining chairs.
Huh?
It's like something you'd see in a fancy 5-star restaurant.
But they don't look like dining chairs.
Precisely. These unique chairs take your dining experience to a whole new level.
Our upholstered dining chairs are functional, comfortable, and oh so stylish.
They are, without a doubt, the finest dining chairs masquerading as single-seat mini sofas you'll ever see.
Can't argue with that.
The new upholstered dining chair collection, American-made with solid wood and your choice of fabric or leather, starting at $9.16 at Penny Mustard.
6 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
Salem Surround. Is your business hard to find online? Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
If moving safely around your home is a concern, you deserve clear answers, not a sales pitch. Access will help you improve home accessibility with practical solutions like lifts, grab bars, and home modifications, designed to fit your home, your needs, and budget. Experienced professionals will take the time to explain your options so you can make an informed decision. If staying safe and comfortable in your home matters to you, start with a free in-home consultation. Call Access at 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. This update is service of True Green. True Green, the easiest way to get a golf course quality lawn. Don't wait. Sign up at truegreen.com. Get your first application for $9.95. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. Let the pros do the work so you can enjoy your weekend. Restrictions do apply, and see site for details. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, wet this morning with the early rain. Northbound, you're jammed up due to an accident between 31st and Chicago. Problems along the Veterans Memorial Toll this morning, northbound between I-55 and the Reagan, I-88. I-65, 2 left lanes blocked with a bad accident, northbound right before 61st. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But first, a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Shower and spots early this morning, otherwise cloudy and cool, high 61. Partly cloudy tonight, a low of 44.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Seth Moulton is a former Green Beret. He's a congressman from Massachusetts running for U.S. Senate. And he had this to say about Pete Hegseth. It's remarkable, actually, on CNN over the weekend.
Do you believe that the Secretary of Defense is guilty of war crimes?
Absolutely. I mean, he's clearly behind the operation to shoot all these boats in the Caribbean when it's very unclear that we actually have any confirmation that these so-called narco-terrorists, a term the administration invented to justify this action, are even on the boats. I mean, in fact, there's a lot of evidence that these are just fishermen, getting jobs, piloting these boats, trying to feed their families. There's been press reporting on some of these individuals who've been killed who are clearly not war criminals. And on top of that, we then have the strike where they came back and hit it again, a double tap, just purely to kill these survivors who were clinging to wreckage. It's interesting, Aaron, another historical analogy. Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed. Listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
Jakob Kriegel is a professor of politics at the Catholic University of America and a visiting fellow at the Hoover Institution. He joins us now. Jakob, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
I'll let you react to what Seth Moulton had to say, so I don't have to.
Well, this is the first time I hear it, but the legal aspect of that, I think it's not as clear as the congressman put it. Narco trafficking is an enormous problem for us, for the U.S., and I think the administration is on the right path to try to limit the drugs that come into the U.S., which are killing Americans, and in that sense, it is an act of war. These drugs are not making us pretty or making us thin; they're killing us. And so whether you do it through drugs or through guns, you're assaulting the American nation and American sovereignty. So I think eliminating the flow of drugs, I think it's a national security problem, and it's a national security strategy that should be praised.
Yeah, comparing Pete Hegseth to a German U-boat captain may be just a bit of a stretch. I know if a leftist talks about the Trump administration for more than 45 seconds, a Hitler metaphor will be offered. But in terms of fishermen just looking for jobs to feed their family, I mean, if you decide to take a job with a drug cartel, then there are perils associated with that. This just in.
No, absolutely. I mean, most criminals want the money for a variety of reasons, but they're still criminals, and so we shouldn't just be treating them nicely just because they say they need the money. And I think the accusations like this one, but also accusations against the administration, for instance, related to the war in Iran or to the negotiations with Russia, tend to be very damaging, not just to the domestic political debate, but actually to our national security and U.S. foreign policy, because our enemies see us quite divided and work on that. So accusing Trump, for instance, of being pro-Putin just because he wants to end the war between Russia and Ukraine through negotiations, it's not working out so far. Or accusing Trump of, again, violating some international law for bombing Iran starting at the end of February. I think it's quite damaging, and it's counterproductive to American national security. Usually we always said that the divisions, internal divisions, stopped at water's edge, right? We didn't. Once we're dealing with national security issues, we tended to be united, and I think that unity is lacking, and I think it's again counterproductive for congressmen or other politicians, especially in this case from the left, to accuse the administration of crimes and massive violations of some international law. I think it's just, A, it's not true, and two, it's damaging to our national security to convey these divisions.
Yeah, imagine the left violating norms. That's also real surprising. Your piece at Civitas Institute about the coming global struggle and the preemptive retaliatory de-escalation campaign in Iran. I just love military jargon. One of the things you write is there is a growing sense in the U.S. that order and stability are not always in our best interest. Can you explain that observation?
Well, it's very simple. The idea, the criticism that often is leveled against the administration in this case, in the war in Iran, is that the status quo was fine. We could just negotiate with Iran and see what happens. And on the contrary, the criticism said that the attacking Iran was really sort of rocking the boat, was creating a lot of instability. I think it's the opposite, namely that the status quo was incredibly dangerous. And nuclear Iran, which at some point we have to assume it would have been a nuclear Iran, would have been absolutely damaging to our national security. Not just because we care about the Middle East, which, to be honest, we probably don't as much as we did 20, 30 years ago, but because it's one of the many problems that we face. We face Russia, we face China in particular, and then suddenly we have a nuclear Iran that for 40 years has been saying death to America. Death to Israel is a secondary thing that they say. Really, they want to kill America. And they killed a lot of Americans so far. So entering into a military operations against Iran, I think, is incredibly risky, as we've seen. You never know what happens. Once you start a war, you never know where it goes. But I think it was the right thing to do. Chaos, well, it's not chaos. It's instability. And that's my second point here is instability is not always dangerous to everybody involved, or vice versa. Order is not always beneficial to everybody involved. To give you an example, we really care that Mexico is stable. If Mexico is unstable, we have problems in Texas, Arizona, California, and the rest of the U.S. We don't care if Central Asia is stable. That's a problem for Russia or China and others. I think that's the case in the Strait of Hormuz, which is, again, in the front pages today. Instability there is risky. It's somewhat costly, but it's much more dangerous to others than us, China, Europe, most of the Asian countries. We don't need that oil as much as we did in the 1990s. So there's just a difference in value or a relative value of the stability or instability in a particular region.
Right. I mean, and to bring that analysis to the Western Hemisphere, a little bit of instability in Venezuela, for example, is turning out to be a positive development. A little bit of instability in Cuba could turn out similarly with not exactly regime change, but certainly an attitudinal change with, for example, the regime in Caracas, such that you have U.S. oil companies now talking about making investments in that area that they weren't talking about 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And here's, I think, something I think it's positive of this administration is that they're willing to take risks that even in the previous round, the first Trump administration was not willing to do. And certainly the Biden administration and the other administrations in the last decades, we were always very risk averse, right? We didn't want to do too many things, and particularly after the disaster in Afghanistan and Iraq, we just said that, well, it's not worth it. Let's just not do much, because not doing things was beneficial. It's not risky. I think the administration decided, no, taking some risk is worthwhile, and it may lead to beneficial outcomes. And your point about Venezuela is a great example, although I think the problem there is that, or the problem, I don't know if it's a problem, but the risk there is that it was a very well-run operation, very small, very targeted, just removing Maduro and his wife, and very successful. I'm not sure that's necessarily easy to repeat everywhere, right? So I'm not sure that Cuba may be exactly the same case, et cetera. But again, so far, you're right. I think the outcome of that is beneficial, and it creates actually stability in the Western Hemisphere.
Yesterday, the Iranians broke the ceasefire by attempting to fire on U.S. ships, as well as hitting a refinery in UAE. So now President Trump faces a decision, and he's saber-rattling, threatening the Iranians. But is it time, as some have suggested, to resume knocking out the targets that have already been identified but not yet knocked out, to escalate the de-escalation, if you will?
My sense is that sooner or later that will happen. I don't know if it's going to happen tonight or in a week or in a month. Obviously, the negotiations that have been sort of on and off with the Iranians are not going anywhere. The divergence of interest is just too big. And so sooner or later, it's clearly that we have to finish the military operations. And by that, meaning we have to continue devastating their military capabilities and hope that some revolutionary change happens in Iran itself, whether it's a full-out regime change or a change in attitude or a change in leadership. So I think that's coming. I would just remind people always that this has been going on just for 2 months. I think we're at 60-some day, 2 months and a week. It's fairly short. The war between Russia and Ukraine has lasted so far 4 years, not counting since 2014, but the last episode, so the big episode, is 4 years long. And there's still no resolution to that war. So 2 months is actually very, very short to expect something dramatic, a big dramatic change. So I think the pause that is happening right now, the ceasefire, if you want to call it, but it's more a pause, I think it's beneficial. It's worthwhile to restock our ammunition, to refuel our planes, and see whether there's some possibility of negotiations. Obviously, that's not happening. Iran is pointing out in that direction by attacking UAE yesterday. And so the military operations will resume at some point, I think fairly soon.
Jakob Kriegel, professor of politics at Catholic University of America, visiting fellow at the Hoover Institution. Jakob, thank you as always.
Thank you.
And Jakob joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you concerned about what's being taught in your child's school? There is a better way. For over 55 years, Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights has provided families with a Christ-centered education. Whether you choose our beautiful 12-acre on-campus school or our homeschool program, we're here to help. Hundreds of thousands of families have trusted Christian Liberty, and you can too. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or schedule a campus tour today. That's ChristianLiberty.com.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
When Republicans have even a whiff of scandal, what do we hear? Resign, step down, zero tolerance. Where is the Democratic Party? Where is the outrage? Where is the moral clarity? What do we hear from cable news? Nothing.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. I want you to try something different. You don't have to live in pain every day. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics and tell them I sent you when you do. They offer all-natural regenerative treatments for joint pain. I've seen the results and personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. Stop saying to yourself, this is just how I am now, because that's not okay. Get back to the normal you, the one who was active and carefree. QC Kinetics is helping AM 560 listeners with pain from arthritis or injury in their knees, hips, and shoulders. Now they're moving again, golfing and running without surgery or long recovery. The science is real. The treatments are natural. Your body knows how to heal. QC Kinetics will show you how without surgery. So don't watch summer pass you by again, stuck on your couch, afraid to move. Take action today. Schedule an appointment right now. Consultations are free. All you do is call 312-827-6261. That number again, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's Joint Arthritis Treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 five-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Let me ask you something. Does your garage floor look bad, covered in salt, cracked, or stained from the winter's brutal blast? Well, I've got a fix for you so you can start enjoying your garage this spring. Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty and gross to showroom, shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, permanent durable solution. Guaranteed to never chip or peel. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. Schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
AM 560, The Answer.
So it was a Star Wars Day yesterday, and the Messiah teamed up with Luke Skywalker to promote Obamaland.
Happy Star Wars Day from the Obama Presidential Center.
I have a very good feeling about this.
Tool.
Mark, I am glad you are here. I want to tell you about
I am glad you are here.
Okay.
A young person born into ordinary circumstances, but restless, unsatisfied. A kid with big dreams, a bit of a rebel.
I like where this is going.
They join a scrappy group of underdogs and set out to change things.
By blowing up a giant space laser? No.
Mark, this is not about you. As wonderful as you are, this is about them. This isn't a monument to my legacy. It's a gateway to yours. The Obama Presidential Center is much more than a museum. It is an entire campus built to empower you. A place to come together, get inspired, and become a force for change. See what I did there?
Strong the dad jokes are.
Oh. That's perfect.
More like Spaceballs Day, don't you think? I know Mark Hamill's an insufferable lib. What you expect from Hollywood. June 19th, it opens. I'm sure people have already pre-ordered their tickets. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Back with more wit and wisdom tomorrow. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The ceasefire with Iran is not over. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Despite attacks and counterattacks in the Strait of Hormuz.
But certainly we would urge Iran to be prudent.
War Secretary Pete Hegseth, as the U.S. military in a new operation, Project Freedom, works to escort hundreds of oil tankers and other ships stranded in the strait.
We're not looking for a fight. But Iran also cannot be allowed to block innocent countries and their goods from an international waterway.
So Hegseth warns.
To what remains of Iran's forces, if you attack American troops or innocent commercial shipping, you will face overwhelming and devastating